Okay, so welcome to Forging Brains podcast. Today we have 3 of the WCB team here. As you can hear already, we have Carl, Stan, and Mike here. Carl Via? Not
Yes,
Via.
sir. It's Vi.
Via. Stan Mullins, and Mike Poe. So we're just going to kind of go through just a little bit of intro before we get too far into it, of just like introducing you guys of who you are.
S on Stan's name.
There is fucking tonight.
It's just, he's singular. He's the only Stan.
Not in America. That's only in New Zealand.
Clearly, I'm used to it because I don't have to say shit.
No, we're okay. Carl's trying to ask me if I want the headphones. We're okay without the headphones, Carl. He's enjoying them. You don't even have to wear them.
Professional.
You can take them off if you can take them off if you want to. You can stay keep them on. Whatever keeps you in the vibe.
Take them off, Carl. They're really cool, actually.
Yeah.
I was having a good time.
They sound nice. They sound nice.
You keep getting close to it and being
All right.
sexy, Stan.
So since we are from America and we start from left to right, Poe's on my left. We'll start with you. Poe, just kind of like give us a little intro into you. You know, not too long. I mean, but you can drag it on if you want, I guess. So I don't want to tell you too much. But tell us how you got into shoeing horses and, man, how you are where you, like, at your place where you are today.
Let's see. I've been shoeing for 23 years. And, I was working for a beef cattle operation and going to college thinking I wanted to be a veterinarian. And I like drinking
For
beer.
cows.
No. Well, actually, just being a veterinarian.
But large animals?
Yeah, I wanted to be large animal, and I like cows way more than I liked horses. Horses were something we used to do the job. It wasn't the job, you know?
Yeah, means to an end.
Yep. And, I thought I like drinking beer and not going to class. I like working and drinking beer way more than I like going to class. So I dropped out before they could throw me out and went to school and learned how to shoe horses.
Yeah, right up Horseshoe's alley.
Yeah, I never thought I'd be a farrier for a career, right? Like I thought it'd be a good skill set to have, and that was 23 years ago, and a whole bunch of.
So it was like side money.
Yeah, that's what not even side money. I thought it'd be a good skill set to get me a job doing something else. Like I could manage a farm or, do something like that. And hey, I know how to shoe horses too. Look at me. You should hire me.
A little bit extra.
Yeah, and then, it was a long time ago, and I don't want to do that farm manager shit.
No, who the hell would want to do? You literally realize all of a sudden you're just turning horses out and cleaning stalls.
Yeah, no, I don't
Deal with shitty employee.
Yeah, but no, and then like I got suckered into being the 4th man on a draft team at the Reedsville contest in North Carolina.
From not a horseshoe to all of a sudden, there had to be a middle in there.
No, there was a middle.
Okay.
Like, actually, I moved out to your neck of the woods. I lived in River, Oregon for a while.
Yep.
Right, up in the gorge. And I was a savage there. Like, I just... So as, like, I was just like I was doing as many horses as I had daylight. And then I'd work by truck lights. Like, when I left the Northwest to move to a different job that I'll talk about in a sec, I, like, just slaughtered like a dozen horses off a stall jack as quick as I could to make traveling money.
Were you apprenticing in the Northwest?
No. That's the thing. I never apprenticed. At no point.
Just on your own?
Yeah, I did everything on my own.
Fucking struggle.
Oh, it was stupid, too. Like, when I was done, I couldn't lift my arms above my shoulders. Like,
yeah.
All I did was cold bang stuff, and, like, I sharpened my knife once a month, whether it needed it or not, with, like, a fish-hook sharpener.
Just chiseling.
Yeah,
everything out of there.
It was horrible savagery. And, like, I came back. I went to work for a standardbred outfit as a farrier. Like, I was supposed to be their horseshoer. And I was doing slightly less savage shit there because I was working for the guy who taught me. Like, he had gone on to be a farm manager from being a teacher. And, like, at that place, I was doing maintenance work and shoeing horses and doing babies and brood mares and just doing, like, catch-all work.
Yep.
And I got tired of it after about 6 months. And
easy too.
Went back to shoeing on my own. And I did that for a couple of years and realized I sucked real bad. Like,
what made you realize that?
I don't know. I really don't.
Was it just the everyday struggle?
Yeah, it was the everyday struggle. Was where I was at. Like the place I was living, I was making nothing compared to what I could be making or should be making.
And was that from like talking to other guys? You were like, these dudes are making this much. I'm over here.
No, it was looking at what the cost of living was where I lived versus what I was making.
Just a straight up bare bones means doing it. Like means of making bills.
Yeah, I was like, well, I can't charge more than this. Nobody here charges more than this. And I realized that it was because it's an area that still hadn't moved forward and gotten good. Like they didn't know.
Oh,
and, and that was like, what, 15 years ago? Almost 20 years ago. And that area still hasn't
To say that's really not that long ago.
No.
To think about, like 15, 20 years ago is not that long.
Yeah. So it was like 2004, 2005, something like that.
Yep.
So
when I was graduating high school.
Yeah. Shut up. It's not my fault that you're a child. You're all fucking children. So I went. I moved down to Virginia, actually, not far from where Carl lives now. My sister lives down there, and I lived in her basement. Was kind of her pool boy for a little while. She didn't have a pool, but I was her pool boy. And I just got in every truck I could. Like I rode with a guy named Ben Pittman, who's really just handy as hell.
Handy ass knife maker.
Right. Yeah.
I met Ben Pittman at Jim Poor's house, and he was there for a folder clinic.
Yep.
And he was like, well, I'm a horseshoer too. Okay, side note, most horse guys making at a knife clinic that say they're horseshoer are fucking shitty ass horseshoers.
Oh, yes.
Like in general, they fucking suck ass.
The only time they light the fire is to make a
like,
blade.
Oh, I'm a knife maker, but sometimes the shower is like, don't fucking open your phone's gallery.
Yes.
Please leave it alone.
Yeah.
I don't want to see shit about
100%.
it. But Ben,
Ben's
handy as shit.
Dude. Yeah.
And like knives, top tier.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, he won Best Damascus Blade.
Yep.
And, like, he's handy as hell. And the thing is...
Hardcore dude of, like, life is not going to get Ben down.
Yeah, no. I mean, he goes hard. But the thing about him is, and me and Carl talk about this a lot, is that he, he'll give you the shirt off his back if you already got one, and he doesn't.
I could see that.
He's a generous dude. And He gave me a bunch of help. I'd met him years and years before, so it was like I knew him, but didn't know him. Like we weren't friends.
Yeah.
And Ben helped me a lot, and he made some introductions for me. I rode with Pat Connor, who used to make Justin Hammers. Like Pat taught me a bunch of stuff. Russ Height taught me a bunch of stuff.
Another great dude.
I got to meet Eddie Watson and learn some from him. I didn't, and I don't want that to sound like, oh, I worked with Eddie Watson. No, I got to talk to Eddie a couple times.
Yeah, but it's still like, dude, it's like, I throw that out every once in a while. Is like that I learned to make hammers and tongs from Shane Carter. Well, I went to 2 fucking Shane Carter clinics.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much time you spend with somebody.
Yeah.
It matters what you grab from them within that time that you spend with them. Somebody could ride with this person for 10 years and you still see him like, well, you can't even make a fucking bar shoe.
Yeah.
So it didn't even matter that you rode with him for 10 years.
Yeah.
But it's like this dude spent a weekend with this guy. So it's like, I don't buy into that whole like, well, maybe I didn't like spend enough time. It's like, you probably grabbed quite a bit from him, obviously. Like he's the memorable guy in your head.
Oh my God. Well, and it was like, I got to meet a legend.
Yeah.
Like, he was alive and like doing clinics. He wasn't really shoeing that much, but my God, the things that man could do with a hammer, like, and Trent, like on the foot. I mean, that's one of the guys who figured out how to glue on shoes. And whether you like glue-ons or not, that's some legendary shit.
What was he using to glue on?
So he was just doing like fold extensions and things like that. And
but like was there acrylics at that time?
Yeah, so they were using Equilux.
Okay.
But I don't know if it was Equilux or if it was Bondo, but it was a methyl acrylate. Okay. Don't ask me how I know that.
That was a big fucking word right there.
Yeah, I'm friends with Travis Burns. But anyway, so no, apparently, and I got this story from Russ. I didn't get it from Mr. Watson, but apparently he was
I love how Carl's like, you can speak.
Yeah, you can interrupt me. You can interrupt.
I can do that.
was like, 'cause I know all the people that he's talking about because he was 10 minutes from me. You know, when he's talked about living at his sister's place. So all these people are part of my life
damn
too.
close.
Well, and me and Carl met for the first time at the Dutch Inn in Martinsville, Virginia, going to the Reedsville contest when he was 21.
It was my 21st birthday.
No way.
Let me tell you what. And I was like, I'm here with all my buddies, all my new friends. I don't know what. And they were like, the waitress comes over and she's like, "Can I get y'all a drink?" And everybody orders a drink. I didn't know what to order. I've never ordered anything at a bar before.
Hold on. We all ordered beers
Yeah.
of various types. Yeah, I'll take
I'm
an
just gonna
IPA.
take a
I'll have
guess.
a beer.
Carl went wild.
I did because
No, dude.
on the night of my 21st birthday, I had a couple girls that I knew and a couple friends that I had back in high school be like, "We're going to take you out tonight." And it's like, all right, I'll go out. And one of the girls was like, "We're going to get you a blue motorcycle."
Oh, what?
And I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds like a great time. I want one of
I
those."
love motorcycles.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I love motorcycles. This is great. And so they bring me this tall glass of liquor that was like stained dark blue. And I was like, all right. And so I had that night, and I don't really remember a lot after that. So I was like, that must have been a really good drink. So here I am hanging out with my horseshoeing buddies. I'm like, I'm going to press these guys. I'm going to get more than beer. I'm going to get something from the bar.
I'm gonna get a blue.
I'm going to get a blue motorcycle. So at the Dutch Inn, this girl brings me this like giant
It's a fucking martini
Fruity-
glass. It was a massive martini
glass
You
with
were in a
umbrellas.
shitty ass bar. They had
and
never
it
heard
had-
of a blue motorcycle.
Yeah, it had like
Seriously.
orange slices and a little umbrella and all this other stuff. And it wasn't blue. It was blue.
Yeah, it was like
it was
the
like
babyest
blue.
blue,
It
like
was
they
a-
splashed it.
Yeah, and they
Oh
said that
my
in front of me,
God.
and I lost respect from everybody I knew that night.
Dude,
and I was
that-
like, this is really embarrassing.
The guy that he was
love
riding with,
But was it good?
I don't even know if I
yeah,
don't
you
even know if
drank, you drank it. Don't be a bitch. You drank it.
You're right, because I was like, it's strong.
Yep.
It's
He was
strong.
like, it's stronger than that
this
beer
is
is.
good.
And a blue motorcycle.
That's right.
That's
Oh,
exactly.
you got
Motorcycles all
beers.
day.
No, but it wasn't. It's the guy he was riding with had introduced me, and he orders a blue
amazing.
motorcycle the second. And I was like, man, you didn't tell me you had a girl riding with you.
Yeah. This is the night I met Poe. This is how that went down. So that
Yeah.
tells you how his first impression of me was really good.
My first impression of Poe was pretty good too. That I met him. I showed up late to a clinic, into a dark parking lot, and Poe was pretty persistent that we were gonna make tool and folder shoes that night. So we figured out.
It was Strayload that was insistent we were making tool and full.
We found street light switches.
Yep.
We found the breaker box. We got it turned on, and that night was pretty all right. Next night we got pretty. All right. Poe made a kid cry.
Dude, I still feel bad
At
about
dinner.
That shit. That was obnoxious.
He made him cry. Wasn't the best part. He made him hug him after he cried.
Aw.
Dude,
Kid
I
just
was a
wanted to
dick.
leave. He just wanted to get out
I
of there.
didn't know he was
And Poe made him hug him. big old
one.
teddy bear.
Papa Bear had to get
I
his
can see
paws
it now.
on him. What do you want from me?
I just want to leave, and this man wants to hug me.
You leave just memorable
Dude.
first nights. It's just something you do.
That was a lot of night. That was a whole lot of night. I
Sounds
was
like we all have a
embarrassed.
good night of meeting Poe for the first time.
Poisms right there.
Yeah, I don't remember. No, there wasn't anything embarrassing when I met Stan for the first time.
I was 17.
Yeah, it's true. He was 17 and he used to be cute.
Yeah. When I was 17, like, you can't do anything fun. So, it's kind of like, there's nothing that's going to happen.
But
It's
were we in Vegas for that?
Nah,
Nah, you did the whole
Virginia.
season, yeah.
Well, no,
From
you had
Virginia.
to have met him at the horseshoeing school as,
No.
as
So
classic.
how
first.
old are you right now, Stan?
25.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but he got accused of being his wife's father. At
Twice.
dinner. Yeah, yeah.
No
like-
way.
Yeah. And it's not like Destiny looks like she's like 10 or something.
No, you- no.
They look appropriate
It's,
together.
it's
Like you look younger than him, but it's like
It's
you don't
good.
look old.
No. So it's kind of like one of those things. You go to a Texas Roadhouse and the waiter comes over.
Why the fuck are you going to Texas Roadhouse?
Because there's steak. You gotta have steak. So you go to Texas
Cardboard
Roadhouse and
steak.
the waiter comes over and goes, "Does your son work here?" I'm like, I don't know how I could say this without sounding bad, but son, most of the waiters here are not the same breed as me.
Breed.
I don't know how
Jesus.
to say it.
There's no
So
way you can
He
say
means
that.
breed as in New Zealand.
yeah. Is he a Kiwi? I'm like,
Straight down here.
Fucking Kiwi, Jesus.
I'm not.
We're pretty straight. He's not
That's
from
not the
Mars.
time.
He is from here. He is very human.
No,
he
he's
has
not.
a jawline, eyes in the middle of his head, like nose and all. New Zealand.
Hey,
not
hold up.
far-fetched.
You really think that he's the same?
His hand. I didn't say his hands. I didn't mention his hands at all. His hands are fucking weird as shit, and they're huge.
They're not weird. They're just
You swing a
big.
3-pound hammer. I made it, and I feel weird giving it to you. I felt like this is huge.
Well, it's not
I
the
don't
hammer that's weird. It's the handle that holds the hammer. That's
But-
as big as a tree trunk.
It's
The
bigger
hand-
than my sledge handle.
No. My handle's bigger than his. But
My hammer's big.
you taught me a lot about handles. That your hand is so big, you need less timber in the hand because your hand's closing and you have less of a gap in the middle of the
Yeah.
damn thing.
Yeah.
But you hit so fucking hard, you need a lot of fucking timber in the eye.
I need a straight shaft. Anything that's tapered snaps.
I would almost bargain that the wood is bigger in the eye than the handle.
It runs pretty much straight through.
Well, you got a little bulge underneath the hammer, so
cut
you
a-
could get down.
cut a 2x4 down, and you're good.
There's so many innuendos I want to pull from bulge to. Like,
Yeah, we're pretty explicit. We're borderline there though.
okay.
When
So-
Stan explained to me when he was using a hammer, he's like, "Well, you know," and it's like, okay, so there's 4 of us sitting at this round table. We're on some tool trays here. Not trying to sound too professional, definitely at all. 2 of us, me and Carl, are on the smaller side of the spectrum of life. We are your average male. We were schmediums.
Right. Thank you.
32, 34s,
Thank
all
you
the
for
way
calling
around,
us
size 10 foot. That's us.
That's a compliment.
The other 2 sitting at this table can feel their hammer handles flex when they are swinging down. That's not normal for the rest of us.
My ass. Everybody feels that.
No, we fucking don't.
No,
When
I agree
when
with
I
Brian.
I think
I
I'm
agree.
trying. I'm like, man, I think I'm gonna try to break this handle when I'm coming down. It don't feel like it's gonna break.
Or flex.
Where Stan's like, I need a heavier.
If I
Shaft
swung
in the-
if I swung Carl's hammer right now, I can guarantee I could break it within 10 strokes.
So I
Just
did,
because the shaft's too small inside the eye.
No, it happens.
Or do you
further
think that-
up. It's because it's got a taper in it.
Where does it happen?
It flexes like 3 inches from the end of the hammer handle.
Yeah, where you
The
put a
bottom?
taper in it? No, from the.
I was like, Jesus,
no,
you
from
fucking.
the eye.
No, from the eye.
3 inches below
Okay,
the
you
eye.
got a hammer.
So it's halfway between your hammer, like it's halfway between where your hand is.
So like here,
Yeah.
maximum fulcrum.
That's so the weakest part is where you taper it down. So you want to put some sex appeal on your handle, right? Everyone loves the sex appeal on the handle. Gym poor
Sex
handles-
appeal in it's a elbow saver. Handles are cheaper than elbows. So if the handle flexes, you're not getting full force into your arm.
My elbows built
Oh.
well,
Well, built for
One day, oxen die.
and
They
I'll be
break down, my friend.
All right. So the thing is, when I downgraded from a 3-pound hammer to like a 2 1/4,
Yes.
like I got fussed at real bad about. I was way too. What is it? I wasn't finishing my shoes well enough because I was using too heavy of a hammer.
Yeah, you can't overlapping blows is good.
So
Also, do you feel like it was slower
no
beats
that's the
per
thing.
minute?
At that point, no. Now I can't go back. But I've also had a
Now
torn
that you've
bicep.
gone to 2 1/4, do you feel like your 2 1/4 is faster?
Yeah, now it is. I
Just
will
like a
say.
power hammer.
So, but anyway, no. When I
Lighter
first
hammers
got
are
it,
faster.
I hollered at Money and had him make me one that's offset weird. So part of my story is I went and rode with Andy Reeder Smith.
Yes.
And Andy's a legend, right?
Yeah.
And that's that whole like quality of time. I had 10 days with Andy and it felt like I had a 10-year apprenticeship. Like,
He's super forward heavy.
yeah.
He likes it.
Everything's to the flat side, like
Yep.
tons of weight to the flat side.
Offset.
And that's how I like my hammers made. I've got one of yours that's made like that. I've got like a couple of Chris's that are made like that. I'm using a Ben Snore that he made me like that, right? And when I first got that hammer for money, I snapped 2 shafts in it before I figured out how to slow down. Because I was coming with that lighter hammer and putting more velocity on it. And it just snapped through.
And did you feel it snapping when you were pushing through it?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So,
I heard Derek Gardner explaining on a different thing the other day of why an offset hammer feels so good. Probably the best explanation I've heard so far. That he was watching Sarah for a shoe and that she had to get a lot done at one time. And he said that he was kind of watching her struggle on the upswing. And so he just thought, what if we put the weight to the, same weight hammer. We're just moving from the round side to the flat side. And so when she's on the upswing, she's not fighting, trying to control the hammer on the upswing. It trues up, right?
Yep.
Because it's falling, like the weight's sucking the hammer swing straight. And so she's getting a nice, consistent, easy arched upswing that she's not trying to fight with lateral movement. And then she can come down with the same weight, and it's all the gravity's on your side.
Yep.
On that point. Like,
That's
so
exactly
I think that's where a lot where those flat, heavy hammers kind of favor a little better. Because even the hammer I made you is a little bit.
Yeah, it's offset.
It's a little bit heavier to the flat side.
Yeah. Well, and like when I swing, and like I don't know if everybody does it, but I do the Bruce Lee method where I aim beyond my target if I'm wanting to get something done. So I'm not aiming for the anvil or the face of the anvil. I'm trying to aim for 2 inches into the anvil.
Goddamn ninja.
So one thing about a heavier hammer, and it doesn't matter if it's me or Carl, if he picks up a 2 1/4 and bumps draft stock, he gets more done. Even if it's a little slower, he's still getting more done with the heavier hammer. So at a certain point of time, I turned concave with a 1 3/4 Jim Pour.
Right.
Like it's all about what job you're doing.
A lot of times it is.
So and then but do I switch from my nice Riley Kirkpatrick hammer when I'm making a
Good
nice
plug.
whip across bar shoe at a contest that's made out of 1/4 by 3/4? No. But do I hit it as hard? Yes. At the right time.
That it makes sense. So, okay, we went fucking way squirrely here, but that's the best part about this. That we have no agenda. So we
Kinda like Biden.
exactly,
Just like Biden.
exactly, like Craig says.
Exit stage.
Best way to
left.
protect yourself in a hurricane is to get vaccinated. So we got Poe pretty caught up a little bit. Now we got Stan. So we want to introduce everybody before they start spitting out too much knowledge, so you can get to understand. We got Stan Mullen here. Stan, as you already heard, is 25 years old. Just kind of throw out your little bit of your story, man. Your little elevator pitch.
So, I guess I got a lot to say, but I'm not going to say it all.
No, say it
It'll
fucking
be-
all.
It'll be short and sweet, like my life on this planet yet. Just unlike Mike.
That was doom and
You
gloom.
stopped me at 7 years in.
Well, I've only got 7 years. So, I've been shoeing 8 years. I left New Zealand at 16. I come over here to the Kentucky Horseshoeing School.
Were you shoeing in New Zealand at all?
I was apprenticing while I was in high school. I was shoeing 1 to 2 days a week through a.
What made you decide during high school that you were going to apprentice?
So my family runs a horse farm in New Zealand. Struggle to find a good horseshoer to do them.
Is that kind of the case for most of New Zealand, or just like your guys' area you were in?
So there's good horseshoers in New Zealand. There's a lot of horseshoers in my area. A lot of horses. So some good horses get uncovered by good farriers. Books full up. Everyone knows it.
Yep.
You can't shoe every horse.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where my mother was like, "Oh man, it would be nice if I send my son to shoeing school and get him to come back and shoot
Good
my
idea.
horses." Great idea. Then you meet a beautiful young lady, and that changes your plans. Big
But
time.
it's not like your plans were too changed before that. You know what I mean? Like you were already over here.
I know it benefited me.
She just solidified the idea.
Benefited me greatly. So I come over here 16, 9 months shoeing school. Thought I was bulletproof. Cocky prick.
He was.
And it's fine. You'll have those mistakes of being an asshole, and still am. So we're still working on it. So
No, you aren't working on it. I don't want you ever to work on it.
oh, okay. Well, we're working.
It's my favorite part about you.
So if you want to be, if you
I've
want
liked you
to,
since I met you.
so yeah. So everyone likes my honesty. It is whatever it is. So anyway, shoeing school 9 months. Did at least a 2-year apprenticeship at the shoeing school, Kentucky Horseshoeing School. Great time. Learned a lot. Got so much out of that, and was around beneficial farriers.
So you were
coming
there
in and out of
you were
that.
there for 2 years
After the school, yes.
after. So
Yes.
how long were you like your first scheduled class?
9 months was my class.
And they just kept you there. They were like,
they saw some, some potential in me, and they gave me a bone.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. They wanted to keep you there
Yeah,
after
they
your class
asked me
was
to-
over. They're
and
like, sweet, get out of here.
The plan was go back after 9 months to New Zealand. Didn't happen. Benefited greatly from staying there 2 years. Got my journeyman in
Was
that
that same time Sam Gooding
Yes. Sam
was there?
Sam Gooding, Mitch Taylor was my instructors there, and I worked under Sam and Mitch when I was apprenticing. We left. I got my journeyman. Started competing with WCB. Ended up going home for 2 years to New Zealand. Shot a book of horses for 2 years. Come back 2019 to America.
And that was probably one of the not maybe beneficial times for your life, beneficial times for my life when you went home. Because Sam, it's like, I hate to throw it out there, but it's like Stan was competing at WCB at that time. It's like I would have Stan strike for me every once in a while during the ghost, and he's and like it was one of the funniest times. Stan would watch you fuck up during a class, and then afterwards be like, I probably wouldn't have done that. I was wondering why you were doing that the whole entire time. But then Stan
Dude,
decided to go
He was the fucking
home.
king of being like, hey, what foot is it? In match play, be like, Stan, what foot is it? And be like, it's a left. It's a right. Like, he would straight up lie to you about which foot it was.
Oh, I didn't know myself. Shit. Have you ever seen me go past day 2? I've done it once. I don't know what foot it is.
But you were like such a true striker of just like, man, I loved having you strike for me because you were just like so straightforward. There was never any confusion in the class. Like, I love people striking for me that I can somewhat shut my fucking head off. And like you were just one of the people that was like, well, I'm just gonna stop thinking a little bit and just kind of just do the motions, whatever you tell me I need to do, like whatever comes up. But then you decided to go home, and that's the only reason I got to make the Cat 2 team
Yeah.
because I was a spot behind.
As Riley walks past me, going to take his spot for the Cat 2 team, he goes, isn't this meant to be you? And I'm like, I'm out of here. He goes, yeah. Thanks. Bye.
So you headed back to New Zealand then after that.
Yeah. So, WCB and whatnot got me down the path of wanting to be better. Everyone wants to be better, just like Mike said. He's like, I was cracking through them, shoeing horses, and then you realize there's some light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not just money or wrecking your body for lack of money.
No, it's a little bit of self-accomplishment.
Yeah, so I went back to New Zealand, and I was pretty successful in my early days with the WCB, and kind of followed that in New Zealand. Ended up being the national champion in 2019
In New Zealand.
at 21 or 22, and that shocked me. I wasn't as thrilled as I thought I would be with it, because it just was like, oh man, I need to get out of here.
Because you knew it wouldn't have done it at WCB.
No, so
Or WCB was a taller tree to climb.
So I wasn't happy with it. You know what I mean?
You're like, I knew if I was at WCB right now, this wouldn't have won the top award.
Correct. So I come back, right? And I went to my first WCB thinking I was hot smoke. And I was like, oh, I need to work harder. So I did. My first full season at WCB, I made the WCB team and was reserve national champion. It was still like
How much were you practicing leading up to that?
a lot more than I was in New Zealand. I had to work for it. You know what I mean? Like I don't think there's any true value in something you didn't work for.
No, dude, you told me that before you left back to New Zealand the first time. We were at a contest and we made it was an aluminum front, was a specimen shoe.
Yeah, Sarah Beans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you probably remember it as much as I do.
remember it quite well.
And I got done and I was like, man, I just didn't really practice for it. And you're like, well, you cannot expect to do better than what you practiced for.
No.
And I was like, I probably am trying to rest on my laurels a little bit, and I shouldn't be whatsoever. Like it like that's why I liked working with you, because you were just like, you weren't gonna shave off any glamour at all. It was just like a hit of reality. It's like, nope, you need to do better. Like you didn't do good.
So it's funny because success, is followed, work is followed by success. So I don't think anyone underneath this tent this weekend could say otherwise. So everyone knows their weaknesses, right? If you just work on your accomplished phases in life, then you're not going to
The parts you're going to do good.
Yeah, so like if you can build a roadster but you can't build a bevel, maybe you need to build a bevel. I don't know.
Hard to do.
So it's funny.
So is that what you try to do in practices?
I try to do something I'm not very good at, right? So if I have a shoe list and I'm practicing for a shoeing contest and I have 5 shoes to pick from, I pick the hardest one first. I know it's going to take me the longest time. I know so many people that pick the easiest one and they have so much fun. So much fun, and they post pictures on it.
Yep.
And they look great. And they're amazing and whatnot. And then you see their job on their day, and it's almost like they didn't make the best one of that, and then everything else goes downhill.
Oh, major.
But if they worked on the hardest one, then their best one would have been better. Because you pick up more from struggle than you do from easy success.
But it's hard to convince yourself. Like, how do you convince yourself that and it might just be your personality. They're like, I'm just gonna go out in the shop and struggle.
No, it's funny because I think it's all about who you surround yourself with. Because no great has ever, I don't believe they've ever just walked into it. I think everyone struggled. I think the struggle is the part of that.
Oh, the struggle's gonna be there, but how do you accept that? Like, I'm gonna go to the shop tonight. There's not gonna be a fun time.
So
like it's just gonna be struggle time.
Everyone wants to compete, when it's easy. So if you go to the WCB in Madison, Wisconsin, you're practicing in August, right? Which is the worst time of year for me in Kentucky. So you walk out to the shop after shoeing horses and you're like, man, this is gonna suck. I know that this is gonna suck. But you didn't lie to yourself. You knew it going into it. Yeah. So you do it.
Yep.
And everyone else that didn't do that suck is a little bit flaky at that contest because they didn't embrace the suck. So if you don't spend 2 hours in the shop every night before the contest for at least 2 weeks, it's impossible to think you're going to beat the guy that is.
And it's great to hear that from a guy at your guys' level. It's like, so you guys are on the WCB team. Like, just going to throw out a bear out into the room there. In my opinion, the top team in America to freaking make. It is the hardest team to make. You have to bring your salt at every single one. It's a huge fucking crowd. It's a big shoe list. Whatever you want to throw out there. It's a good freaking team to make. It is at the level that everybody wants to get there. And I think a lot of people think that they just have to practice up to that level. And then they get to kind of ride the brakes.
The level keeps moving.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like you're saying right now of like, I don't think there's people out there in the bottom that are in their shops every night for 2 weeks before the contest.
So, all right. we established I'm old, right? And I remember going.
You don't have gray hair yet, though, or anything, though, so you can still hide it.
I got like the salt down here, and
You're still pretty handsome.
thank you, baby.
That's just for your Tinder profile.
So anyway, I went to the first classic as a spectator, and I remember watching Billy Crothers make a roadster, and it fit, and it was like, this is amazing, and they're doing it in all this time. And like, that was 2010, I think, something like that, right? Yeah, I know, you were like 12. And
I was in horsing school.
yeah, 13. Yeah, this is my life. And
This is right.
anyway, like 5 years later, like 2015, I won a match play making a 10-minute roadster, and I made it in 9 minutes. Like, I made it in under time. That day, Ben Casserly was judging, right?
Yeah.
And when my shoeing, we still did match play on shoeing day. It finished on shoeing day. And my shoe for the foot was heinous. It was like I made a light rim and just like nailed it up and nibble nailed it. It was horrible. And my fit on that roadster was so much better than my fit on the foot. And it just happened in 2 seconds. Now you find me one guy under that tent who can at least make a passable roadster. Like something with a caulk and a wedge and a toe in, under 20 easy, if not inside of that 10 minute. And like, I know that Carl can do it because I've seen Carl do it. He won a match play off that same thing.
Yeah, off roadsters, yeah.
Yeah. And like, that bar is ever moving. It's always going up.
Yeah, and that's why I think that's like the best part about like the kind of the top teams is that they're like pushing each other so hard all the time. There's no time, like, and it's something that I would like to talk to you about, but it's like we're gonna just brush on and then we're gonna cut back to it. It's like there's no time for emotion.
Yeah, no.
I mean, a little bit, but not really a lot of time for emotion.
Well, no.
You got to. It's time for skill, right?
No, but rage is an emotion, and sometimes there's a time for that. Like, and we get in each other's asses.
Oh, dude, I'm an angry motherfucker. I'm right there with you.
Exactly. Like, you lay down a good job, and
Where's Dylan?
So today, like somebody came over. We had Tooling Fuller today, and we lost bad yesterday. And,
Okay. Lost bad, you got seconds.
Yeah, but we
Lost bad would be our team's place.
Dude.
not second.
Okay,
but I get it.
We got beat
From
by
for
big
you
point,
guys.
But
For
we
you
got
guys.
beat by big point spread. And
There
somebody
is
came over.
there is 2 different competitions happening within this competition. And you guys are in a different one than we are.
Well, no.
that's just the reality of what's going on.
I would say that there's way more than that because we're not in a competition against Men of Steel who beat us and deserve to beat us. They did a good job.
Well, yeah, they're good guys.
It's not about that. What it's about is we're in a competition with ourselves to work
Everybody
better
is.
as a team and lay down a good job.
Yeah.
That is 100% it. We're looking to see who can get best shot on our team, not who can get best shot for the contest. Mm-hmm. But somebody came over to me and they were like, looks like you guys did pretty good. And I was like, yeah, anger's a great motivator. Because we were all angry today. We were all like, nah, we're going to lay this down and do a good job.
Suck that in for a second. We're going to cut into Carl, how he got in. We got saying someone caught up just as much as Poe here.
We got so many years in.
We're gonna come back into the anger.
All right, yeah. So back to square one. We're talking about how I got going, right?
Yep.
All right. So I grew up on a farm in Virginia where we have 350 acres, and I'm 7th generation. So my mom.
That's cool shit.
It is pretty cool.
So when did the farm originally get started?
Like back in the early 1800s. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, so we're a Centurion farm, and it's neat because
almost second century farm.
Yeah, almost second. Yeah, and
that's balling.
it's pretty cool. So I'm fortunate, Like I grew up not knowing how fortunate I was,
but just a side note, anybody that ever says that like you're fortunate, like no. Your family fucking kept it.
Yeah, they kept it together. And
You're keeping it.
And the thing is,
because there's a lot of those people that get sat in that seat and they fucking lose it.
yeah,
They let it go.
And like we've had some family problems in the past because it used to be a lot more than 350 acres. Like,
Okay.
it was pretty it was a pretty large estate, and now it's down to 350. So like it's been
Still
whittled
pretty
down.
good side, but
And then like it goes like weird side note, like my mom's side of the family is like related to the Whipples, which John Whipple was one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
So we're talking like landowners on the James River, like trading slaves, like and like going way back into like the old days.
how much did they own when it first started? Do you know?
I don't even know, like because that's two different families, like like
Gathered it together.
gathering it, and it's like when you have a daughter and the daughter leaves and marries a guy with another family and another farm, and that's
Yep.
how it kind of whittles down. But but my family farm were the Russells. That's my middle name is Russell. I'm Carl Russell by it. All right, so my grandmother was one of two daughters. So being one of two daughters, you lose the family name.
Yep.
You marry a guy who has a different last name. So anyway, so now we're the Vias. And so anyway, growing up, my mom, both my parents grew up in a town, and the farm was always the grandparents' place. So that's where you went for the weekends.
Yep.
Oh, we're just going to see
Holidays
the grandparents. We're
and-
going to go see the cows. We're going to go see the horses, and we're going to go, do all that stuff. So anyway, I grew up. My mom loved horses. She gave riding lessons, and she had boarders and whatnot. And meanwhile, you have a farrier.
Yep.
So coming up through school, I would be there on farrier day. Because when you have 20, 30, 40 horses on your property,
It's a day.
Farrier day is a day. And I'm the teenager that's
Was
out.
the guy getting them all done in one day?
So, well, he would come and go.
Okay.
Like he was there once a week.
Okay.
So, right. So because between the boarders,
You were a dude's income.
Yeah, entirely. Yeah. And so
For sure.
but things took a weird twist because like I'm there for farrier day. I'm just going and catching horses and holding them and standing there and dealing with it. Right.
Yep.
I'm just the barn boy. But I live at home.
Yeah.
It's my place. It's our horses. It's our boarders. And so lo and behold, one day when I think I was like 14, a guy shows up and he sees that we have an indoor riding arena, an outdoor riding arena, all this fencing, and all these horses, and he's like, so I just moved down here from Pennsylvania, and I just joined the Virginia Horse Stewards Association, and we're looking for a place to have a certification. What's that? Oh, well, it's a place where farriers get certified. Farriers have a certification? I don't think our guys have one of those. And then he said the magical phrase, which won my mom over. And he was like, we're going to shoe your horses for free. Right? We're gonna
She's like, how many?
we're gonna
How
have
many
we're-
do you want?
do you want them all? Yeah, it'd be great. Because our farrier bill's like through the roof. So anyway, lo and behold, that certification day shows up. And we have all the legends from Virginia show up. You got like Scott Collier, John Kern, Russ Height, Jock Owens, and Eddie Watson, like all them. This is when I was just a teenager, and you're talking like this is in the late '90s,
Yeah.
early 2000s, and
Things are still pretty secluded
yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's not as open as now.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
So anyway, they all show up and they like convince my mom what's going to happen that day. It's like we're going to have these random guys shoe your horses, and we're not going to charge you anything, and this is a test, and everything is is going to be by this standard, and we're going to score the guys to the standard and whatever. So anyway, as a 14-year-old boy, I'm like hauling in horses in the arena, and all the testers and the examiner look at the horses and they're like, I don't even think we can use half these horses because they really look bad. Like there's missing foot everywhere. Like this guy's, I don't know who your farrier is, but he needs to have his hands slapped. Like this is bad. So, but we got through the certification.
You're like, shit, it's my dad.
So we got through it, and lo and behold, the guy that just showed up that random day months before is like, we didn't think it was this bad, but I just want to let you know that I just moved to the area of Pennsylvania, and I'm a journeyman farrier. We didn't know what that meant, and he was like, I am looking for business. Now this is a bad way to get business, He's like, but I'm happy to fix your horses.
Yeah.
So Mom was like, all right, well, you're hired on the spot. And so he became our farrier, and that's how I learned about the certification process. And as I'm in high school, and you're the teenage boy in the barn, and you got all day to just talk small talk. He's like, "What are you gonna do when you grow up?" I'm like, "Well, I'm a math nerd, and I'm gonna go be mechanical engineer."
Is that really you love math?
I did. I was all in the science and like.
Hold up, not I did. You still love math.
All right,
You're
well, I
the
still
math.
love it.
Dude.
All right, so
I can
any-
barely count to 10.
All right, well,
Like that's impressive.
So-
as shit.
so
So,
at- so-
anybody's good at math. Like
so at this
That's
moment,
cool.
I
That's
got
why Riley's hammers only go up to 10 pounds.
well, that's what people ask. Like how much that weighs. Like I just round. I'm rounded up or
So-
down, bro. It's just generalized.
So at this moment, I got accepted to Virginia Tech for mechanical engineering, like program. And so I was going to go, and
No big deal.
and this guy that was our farrier was like, "You're just a dumb little farm boy redneck. Last thing you're going to do is go be a mechanical engineer. I know you better than that." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to prove you wrong." And he's like, "No, I'm serious. Why don't you go? You're just a junior in high school. Why don't you go, or senior, whatever?" He's like, "Go to school and you sit down. You tell me that's going to be what you like." He said, "What do you think a mechanical engineer is?" I was like, "Haven't you ever seen that show, Mythbusters?" He's like,
All right, no,
you ever
that
seen
ain't
Ju-
cool that
have
you
you
were
ever
in
seen
high
Junkyard-
school and that.
"Yeah, I
You
know."
seen Junkyard Wars?
Right. So, and I was like, mechanical engineering's just like Mythbusters. This bunch of guys in the shop just building cool stuff and then trying it out. And he's like, "You're an idiot. You're an idiot."
You're gonna
He
be
was like-
building fucking
he was
plane structures,
yeah,
bro.
he was like, "You're gonna be sitting behind a computer designing stupid programs about airplanes and bridges and all this stuff." And I'm like, "You're wrong." Well, what I do, I went to Virginia Tech and I audited a few classes, and he was right. So now I'm coming down. I'm down the dumps. Now I'm holding the horse, listening to him and telling him how he was right. And he was like, "You need to be a farrier because." Like, as a side note, I did get the highest SOL score in the state of Virginia for geometry.
Side note.
So, yeah,
Not much of one, but
right.
worth mention.
So he was like,
Hippie D.
he was like, "You do know that like horseshoeing is nothing but geometry." He's like, "You were an
I
idiot."
sure fucking hope not.
Yeah. So he was like,
I'm fucked.
he was like, "You live like you're a horseman." And we'll get back to that in a minute because I got a cool story about being a horseman too. But he was like, "You're born to be a farrier." And I was like, "All right, well." And I never saw the money side.
But it was like you respected this dude's opinion, obviously.
I did. I really respected it.
Yeah.
And he, like I say, he was a journeyman tester area, and guy in our area, Harold Plaster.
Did you
And,
notice when he took over your mom's horses that the feet did get better?
Oh, they're way better.
Like
Yeah.
it was like to the layman's eyes, you're like, this is a fucking difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so I should say that like as a kid, I did show horses too. I loved quarter horses, so I went to the American Quarter Horse shows, went to 4-H shows. As a young youth, and then as an older youth, I did quarter horse shows. And my mom had brood mares. We had 2 stallions in the barn. We raised babies every year. We couldn't afford to have a trainer, so I learned how to make money, as a kid, breaking and riding horses.
Yep.
So I thought it was really cool to be able to take a horse to a breed show and then do good, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because I was born
Felt
a
good.
competitor, so like I did go all the way to like the Quarter Horse Congress and Quarter Horse Worlds, and I do have 3 world titles as in the Quarter Horse Association showing
That's a
horses.
pretty big deal.
It's pretty cool,
Yeah.
So I had all these established before I shod horses, and so that guy was like, "Look, you're not only going to corner the horse industry, as a farrier, but you already know how the trainer and the rider wants the horse done.
Yep.
Like you're going to understand when they say, I don't think Fluffy's, like moving deep enough or doesn't have enough knee action.
Oh,
or,
yeah.
He's like,
You know when
live
they
the
need a
life."
little more spur and pinkies.
Like you know the lingo of the show world.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, I do. I live it. That's my go. That's my competitive edge. That's what I do. And so anyway, long story short, I didn't see like the monetary aspect of shoeing horses because I never was part of it. I was just a guy holding horses in our own barn.
Yeah.
And he was like, my senior in high school, he was like, "Ride with me one day and tell me you don't like this job." I was like, "All right." And having a farm and having property and having all these responsibilities,
Yeah.
you need to be there to do stuff, like fix fence and ride and break horses and work on equipment and do stuff. And I was like, man, this 9-to-5 job thing is going to suck when I only have evenings and weekends to do it. I'm trying to think about myself as an adult. And he I rode with the guy one day. We went to a 100-jumper barn. We shot 10 horses. And all I did was pull shoes for him. Of course, I crawled myself back in the truck because I didn't have the muscles for it. Like, you know how it is being an apprentice.
Yeah.
And but we did 10 horses, and it was early afternoon, and we went back home. I was like, well, this is pretty cool. And at the time, this is in 2002, 2003. He's like, he would charge $150 a horse, and I'm like, whoa, being a math nerd. I was like,
this is going okay.
Did you just make $1,500 and now we're going home and it's 1 o'clock? And he was like, yeah. I was like, all right, I just switched to a whole nother gear in my head.
Oh, yeah.
And at the time, he had...
Because it's probably one of the things that were leading you towards an engineer was like paycheck.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
And so,
yeah.
And he had 2 daughters that had just graduated college, and he only worked 3 days a week. And I'm like, all right, sorry, so 3 days a week, so $1,500 a day. And I'm like, okay, so what do you do those other 4 days of the week? He's like, what do you think I do? I like ride around on my lawnmower and, like play in the shop. And I was like, oh. All right, so one day when I grew up and I'm a journeyman, and I can charge this. You telling me that I can work 3 days a week and stay home 4?
Yeah, exactly.
This is a no-brainer, So that started my whole career, as I just, he got me involved with the best group of guys that I mentioned earlier. Like he was a part of the Virginia Horseshoers Association with Jock and John and Scott and Russ and, all that group. And they all have so much knowledge to give, and so that I dove right in the certification process right off the bat, So I passed my certified. I was 18. I turned right around and passed my journeyman immediately, the year after.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, this is pretty cool. And so just to go fast forward really quick, and I know I'm probably taking too much time, but
no, we don't have a time limit.
All the time in the world.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I'd realized with my clients I was a young kid.
Yep.
And nobody would trust me. And I'm like, maybe I'm certified. They'll trust me.
Yeah.
So that gave
pillow
my
gray
goal,
in your hair.
Like and like Stan was talking about, practicing in the shop every night, before an event. So I practice, passed my certification. And then I practice, and I was a journeyman. I'm like, and then and at that moment I did step back just for a second and be like, I did it.
Yeah.
I made it. That's the finish line. I'm a journeyman farrier. Woohoo! Hot day. So. But then I realized that nobody still really respected me.
Like it didn't automatically give you the maturity, respect
and
from.
I'm like, damn, I'm only 20 years old. And like, I thought they would respect me now that I got this really cool card in my wallet to show that I'm a journeyman. And
I got this buckle.
Yeah, it's like, you see this brass buckle? Yeah, baby. But no, that didn't work. And I was like, all right, well.
But you had to so it's like, did you continue to shoe in the horse community you grew up in?
Absolutely, still do. To this day, because I'm.
So you grew up probably being a pretty respected horseman, because I
did,
like
yeah,
a side flash. I grew up in the rodeo roping world, where the young kid was not riding the good horse. We were whipping him at the jackpot, and it wasn't good. So that's when I became a horseshoer. What they remembered, they were like, that kid likes to whip horses. He's pretty apt for him. I was riding piles of shit. And it's like, so it's like, obviously you were riding like pretty good. Like you were doing good as a kid, and they just already probably had this, like you were a good horseman in their mind.
Yeah, because like as a kid, I was we have a small town, and they love to write stories about the coolest little things happen in their community. So when you go to Oklahoma and you win worlds, that makes a newspaper.
That's pretty cool.
Right? And so then they're like, oh, there's Carl. There's that guy that rode that horse, out west, and he's pretty cool sounding, so,
That's fucking cool, though.
So I had like a neat, background to it.
Yeah.
Leading up to it. And, but still, like, you get to, like, some struggle cases, and I just couldn't get any respect in the, in the horse owning community.
Yep.
Aside, it would come and go. So, I'm like, all right, well, maybe if I'm a tester for the AFA, so I did the whole thing of being a provisional tester and help with the testing. I'm like, I could tell my clients, I'm doing this to provide for the horseshoeing community.
Yeah.
Maybe now you can trust me with your horse, or maybe not. That still didn't work. I was like, all right, well, so flat still didn't work.
I let them know. So, I told them.
Right. I told them anyway. So life goes on, and I get married, I build a house, and life goes on, and then
Shout out to Colleen and Chase.
Local, yeah, Colleen, woo, I love you, babe. And so life goes on. You still have like local competitions and stuff, and I worked myself up to open.
Yep.
And I won an open contest, and all those guys in our community were like, man, have you ever seen the World Championship blacksmiths competitions?
How long were you shooting before you hit that?
It was 2015. So
Hold up, though.
12 years.
You did go to Super Clinic.
I did as an apprentice. So like.
Which that was a long ago Super Clinic.
That's
thing.
why my number
Super
is.
Clinic with like Jason Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why my number is 187.
Jason Smith on the roster, not there.
Right.
But
So-
he was scheduled.
Yeah, right. So my number's low because the guy that I apprenticed with was
What is your number right now?
it's 187.
Yeah, that is super low.
You're right, it's low. And so
what's
Mike
yours?
was standing.
2001.
That's
So I'm 165.
And Mike was only standing that many people in front of me in line in Houston.
That's
like
how far away we were.
yeah, like he was
that is great.
yeah, he was 22 people ahead of me in line. Because when we got to Houston, they were like, "Hey, by the way, it's this fee if you're a member, and it's this fee if you're not." Well, everybody jumped in line to go join the membership.
Yeah.
All right, so we're at I can remember like it was yesterday, seeing the table at the end of the arena, and there was like 100 people in line to sign up for the WCB,
No way.
and then sign up for the clinic. And Mike was just ahead of me, 22 people.
It was just so it was like that. The clinic was a membership drive,
Oh,
kind of.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Great idea.
It was totally great idea.
Well,
And
because like the first 100 or so numbers were the early adopters. Those are the people who went to the Roadrunner.
So by the time you guys went to
Or
that
not.
first Super Clinic, it was like 200 and up.
So
no, it was like 100 and up.
It was like 100 and up, give or take. But
No
like, you
way.
Can see
Maybe
the,
120, 130, whatever.
you can see the cut line at like around the 250 mark. That's all the people that were at the Super Clinic.
Yeah. And so the guy I was apprenticing with, was like, he told me one day we were in the truck, he was like, I'm buying you a ticket to Houston. It's going to be the best thing you ever seen in your life. You're not going to know any of these guys, but you need to sit
You
up
gotta
front.
go.
You need to sit up front and listen, you little twerp. And I was like, okay. And of course, I didn't know any of those guys. Of course, all the supers were there. It was the Super Clinic, right? And
It was huge.
And I remember moments of that day, and I remember sitting there like, I don't know what these guys are talking about, but they sound really smart about horseshoeing, but I was just an apprentice. That's how I got my low number.
So above your head.
Yeah, and so that was in 2007, right?
Yeah, 2007.
All right, so from 2007 to 2015, I didn't ever go to a WCB event because I'm like working on my certification, and then I'm working on my journeyman, and then I'm working on like finding a woman in my life. I'm like getting my house built, like there's a lot of things going on. And then finally, the guys in my community were like, Carl, you should go compete with the WCB because
You're doing pretty fucking good
we're getting
here.
tired of you hanging out with us. Like, you need to go hang out with those guys.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, all right. So the first year I competed was in Richmond because it was local, and there was a hurricane, and we had the rig set up in the pavilion at the Virginia State Fair. And I remember like it was yesterday, and I did good that weekend. And I told myself if I wound up in the middle of the pack, then maybe I'm meant to be with these guys.
Yeah.
And Roy Bloom was judging, and I remember making it like a lot of the way through match play, like maybe halfway through the upper bracket. I did really
You
good.
did real good. Yeah.
And I remember like
What is it?
yesterday.
Was it a very bloomy?
Oh, it was
shoeless?
wind blowing. It was like yesterday.
Oh, yeah. No, we had the mushroom trotter.
Oh yeah, the dick shoe.
Yeah, I see there. I wasn't sure whether the dick shoe was cool, but yeah, we had.
Yeah,
the
it's a
shoe.
dick shoe. It looks like a dick on the
And
inside.
and bolt tongs.
Yeah, we had to make the
Yeah.
square jaw.
The 3/8
bolt
by
tongs.
1 bolt tongs.
Yep.
No, the 5/8 square bolt tongs.
No, they hold 5/8 square,
But they're made from 3/8 by
Oh,
1.
yeah.
That was your
My first-
first contest?
My first contest, yeah. And so I was like, if I
Fuck
can finish
you.
in the middle of the tack, I'm meant to do this. But I practiced with Russ Height like every other day up until that because he competed. So we were like boom, boom, because Russ is only like 30 minutes from me. So we were like bam, 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 like we practiced like crazy. And so I go there, and I remember like it was yesterday at a match play go. I'm going against Cody Gregory, right? And Craig's standing over my anvil with his arms crossed, like looking over my anvil and looking at me, because he really didn't like remember me being there until this moment. And I'm like going against Cody Gregory in match play, and we're in the top 8 or
At
10
the
or
end.
whatever. Yeah, and not end, but near it.
Getting near it.
Getting near it. And I remember that go ended, and he's like, "Who are you, and where have you been?" Because he's like looking at my number and looking at me, looking at my number, and he's like, where have you been? He's like, what have you been doing? Like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, excuse me. Like, I'm like scared to death of Craig at this time.
Yeah.
You know? I'm like, you're like a legend in the trade, and now you're asking me where I've been. What do you mean where I've been? I don't know how to answer this.
Been home, man.
Yeah, right. Been home. I didn't think I was worthy to come here, you know. But anyway, so that I've been to every single WCB event since 2015.
Hey,
every single one. Every contest
No way.
since then. And the next one I went to,
That blows me away. That was your first one.
first one. Yeah.
Can
Like, I feel like I remember you at ones that were before. So, like, were you at the Sheridan days when we had to make the Fuller and draft shoe?
Oh, yeah.
That
It
was,
after
Fuller?
2015.
was it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was 2017. No.
That was
I
with
don't know.
Jukes.
16.
That was in Connecticut. We had to make a Fuller and a draft shoe with Robert.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but we made a
Swenson.
we made a Fuller and a
Swenson
draft
did.
shoe at Sheridan days.
Yeah,
That was- that-
Travis Swenson had to make it.
Yep.
Like I wasn't able to go to that.
That was my first WCB I went
that
to.
was the one before I went to. Because that was early September. I went to October in Virginia
Okay,
in
yep.
2015.
And we went to Buffalo Wild Wings. Me, you, Andrew, and Jake Treat.
So
Yeah, so
Saul just said something about not being worthy to come, and that's the most common thing that I hear from new competitors or from.
Huge.
Like I go somewhere and I talk to people and they're like, "Yeah, I figure, I'm not good enough to come to a WCB." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Anybody can come. All are welcome."
And it is like, I don't ever want to shed shade on WC, but it's like, and it's like the people that get the recognition deserve it the most, right? Like you guys, Men of Steel, like you guys are at the top of like the head of the spear, right? Like you guys are the point. You guys deserve the recognition. But if you showed the lower people, say even last team, you showed the work they are doing, I think some of those people at home would be like, well, I'm doing work like that.
No doubt.
I'm doing that.
yeah.
I think I could come.
No doubt.
And it's like, and I think they think like, well, I don't have any place there. It's like, you have a place here.
Well, to anybody who's listening to this podcast going forward, is my biggest regret was that first contest. Is because I went to it as a Cat 2 because I was already a journeyman and I knew how to work a coke fire. And I didn't realize the tier system that the WCB offers, from novice to Cat 1 to Cat 2 to Cat 3 to Cat 4. And so knowing that, in hindsight, I was like, wait, I showed up because I thought my friends told me to get here, right?
Yep.
And I was like, okay, trying to get
Ready to
myself to go forward. Now I'm ready for it. And then I found myself in the middle of the pack of the Category 2s. And then when I saw there was a Category 1 division and then a novice division, I'm like, holy crap, I should have been here 10 years ago. Like, I should have started
Definitely.
back when I
Yeah.
joined in 2007. So I missed 8 years of fun and like growing and
Dude,
accomplishment.
and I bet it's even like, when I look at some of those, I look at the novice shoes, like, those aren't simple shoes. Like, there's a lot to learn in that novice class.
So that's
Teach you a lot.
huge.
So that's the
Huge.
difference between simple and easy, and the difference between complicated and hard. Like I'm always saying that things are simple. It's stupid simple. Simple. That doesn't mean it's easy. A plain
it doesn't mean it's easy at all.
Simple as hell, but that is a hard shoe to make.
In reality, forging a caulking is pretty simple.
Yeah, it's stupid simple.
Not easy.
So, I think the craziest thing is, so I went home 2017, and people knew me. I was the kid that no one liked.
Because
Crazy.
they knew you from America. Like,
Well, no, I was a foreign kid that talked funny, and I was doing good, and I was acting like a dick.
no one liked you in America? You
no,
think?
like just like I don't give off good vibes. So if you want to learn
Really?
from
You
somebody,
do now.
I do now. But
You were
like,
kind of a dick then.
Maybe
Yeah.
because I was a dick too, and so we got along a little
the
bit.
thing
Is that why we like?
the thing is when you're taught well and you do good when you go to your first WCB, you think you're bigger than you are and you whatever. So I went home and stayed away, come back. Everyone was different. No one knew me. I grew 3 shirt sizes. No one, whatever. But everyone under the table
Not
was
just
different,
shirts.
right?
Gloves.
Everything. Everything.
Easily 3 glove sizes.
Everything. So what I'm getting at here is, so everyone changed, but the top 10 really didn't, right?
No, it not at all.
And these guys are still there because they know what it takes to stay there. Everyone else got kind of like, oh man, I just can't get into that top 10. But in all reality, and this is my bluntness, they weren't putting in the work to deserve to be breaking into that top 10. And I don't care if you're a friend of mine or whatnot, but you can't honestly tell me that you did put in the work.
Oh, no, that's one thing. Is like, man, it was something that like I realized about myself probably in the past 2 years. So it's like, right now, currently, I don't have it in me in my lifestyle to put in the work to get to where you guys are. Like, I had to make a choice in my life of like, okay, I can either just focus all my time into the teams and shoeing competitions, or I can still hang, like not hang with the shoeing, but like I can try to keep my skills slowly climbing forward and focus my real climb towards my tools. It's like, you like it goes back to what you're saying, is that you can't expect to do better than what you practice for.
Absolutely.
You have to come to that realization in your head, and it's like that was a realization for myself of like, I'm not putting in the work enough to be on that team. Where like I remember when you and like I was on a team with like a Cat 2 team with Andrew, and I remember him just like climbing, but he wasn't climbing on accident. He was climbing because he was putting so much fucking time in on his practice and in his shoes, and I knew I wasn't. Like it was kind of thing like, I'm not there right now in my life to put that much practice into it.
And talking about practice, I remember when I did that first contest in Virginia, and then it was Vegas, and then it was Madison. I went to Madison.
Yep.
And Roy Bloom was there, because you know how Roy and Terry, they're all there, right? And so Roy was watching me work, and I knew who Roy was, but he didn't know who I was. You know, I'm just another kid on the block, and I'm just getting going. And he was sitting there watching. And I remember after my goes, he came over and grabbed my shoulder. And he was like, young man, he was like, I want to tell you something. He was like, I see something in the way you're working. He's like, if you practice everything, he's like, I see you getting advice from all these guys. If you practice what they say, and you practice every day, and you work for every contest between that's coming up, and you go to every event, you will make that team, their WCB team, in 3 years. I was like, no kidding. You know, like I never thought, like, really? Like,
yeah.
You really see that?
Showed you a glimmer in yourself.
Yeah. And he's like, you need to, but you have to work hard and you have to practice. Like, if that guy walks over here and says,
then you're going to hand it to you.
And if that guy walks over here and says this, if you listen to him and you practice that for 3 years, you make the team. Well, I'd be daggone. This is a shout out to Roy Bloom, but he was right.
Yeah.
3 years from that day, I made the team the first time. You know, in 2019, and so
that's cool as shit.
And he was and he remembered. I thought he'd forget. I'm like, oh, he's just gonna forget. He told me that. You know,
he doesn't forget.
He doesn't forget anything, because I remember Roy. He walked up to me and he had that smile on his face, and he was coming up and he was like, I told you were going to make that team. I told you.
Pumped about
I
it.
remember telling you back in Madison that you were going to make that team. I was like, oh my God, Roy Bloom remembered my name. You know, like it wasn't just that, but he remembered telling me that I was going to make that team in 3 years. You know, and every time I'd go out there on that hot summer day, like Stan's talking about, or that 0 degree winter day, you know, like I told myself, like, with all the responsibilities that I have, that if I'd go out there and I'd practice to make, I told my wife, I'm like, I was gonna make 1 shoe a day. I fire up the fire, make 1 shoe, and then I go back to my chores. You got, you know, spend time with your family, you know, all the things that are important in life.
Huge, because you like, if we're gonna cut into a different part of like, you have a kid. It's about the same age.
Yes, sir.
A little bit older than my
3
kid.
years. Yeah.
And I know how busy my life has been. It's like, but you have kept up with family farm, kept climbing with your practice. Like, it's pretty inspirational of like, is that how you kind of did it? Is like you just learned how to schedule out your days.
Yes, sir. Yeah, like, so I do have like a full book of clientele, and I do have, like, I do raise crop. We have hay, you know, we have cattle, you know, we have horses. There's a lot of things to do with all that equipment too. You know, keeping everything greased.
Oh yeah.
Everything ready. You know, I feel like I'm a mechanic more than just as much.
Yeah,
as
a tractor can eat up a day.
Oh yeah.
In a hurry.
You know, and so you just realize just like how much you do at night. You know, it's you know, like it's, and then
people don't
sometimes you have
realize.
really crappy nights, and sometimes you have really good nights.
Yeah.
But yeah, but to keep up with I know we're trying to focus this on horseshoeing and the team and
it's
all that.
the horseshoe like this. I think of like people want to talk about the horseshoeing, but they're like, yeah, but my life's separate. It's not fucking separate.
It's not. It's all in the same.
It is.
Can't be.
It can't exactly. It can't be at all.
So one thing I want to say about Carl. So Carl missed an opportunity and whatever because he didn't know about the WCB. He didn't know that you were welcome under the tent. He didn't know that he was welcome to be there, and everyone under the tent wants you to be there.
Yeah.
And will help you be there. Don't be a prick. Otherwise, you might not get helped. But so. There's a lot.
It's true though. Yeah. If you are pushing against the group,
you
group's
get
gonna let
pushed
you
back.
go.
So there's a few older people, and everyone knows where they're at in life. But Carl missed an opportunity where he wasn't as busy. Now he has to structure around his family, which is amazing because he's got that opportunity. But if you're listening right now and you're kind of like me in a way, you're probably not anything like me, and that's probably a good thing. But you have the opportunity because it's given to you. Craig and any association that opens their door and says, come to my contest, go to it. But just realize as soon as your life changes, whether it's wife, whether it's kids, whether it's opportunities other than horseshoeing, just know that factors into your day as well. So I can go home and practice for 2 hours a day, and my wife will be happy to see me after I come in and whatnot, but I don't have a son that's sitting there or a daughter sitting there going, where's daddy? My wife understands to a certain point. You still have to make time for them, but don't use it as an excuse where I can't do that because of.
I think that's key.
Yeah.
People get lost in that of like, well, I think they use it as a fucking excuse.
It is an excuse.
It always is.
Yeah, and I love breaking people's neck. You know, when they try to give me an excuse, because I'm like, oh, you want to talk about excuses? I'll give you some excuses. You know, but I don't use it.
It's like I am guilty to a point of like when my wife got pregnant and she was close to having a kid, I was like, I'm gonna consciously stay home. I decided at that point, I kind of disappeared for 2 years, right? But at the same time, it was a conscious decision in my life of like, I was just reassociating goals in my life of like, well, I got goals that I want to solo kill a bull elk, a bear, and a deer backcountry by myself. That needs to happen at a younger time in my life, at a younger body, because that is pretty fucking hard on your body, right? And so it's like, well, I know I could probably, like, also in my life, I would like to make a team. And like, not just like, I'm on a little team right now. We're just a chosen team. I would like to make a team like the WCB team or the AFT team. Well, I know also to do that, I need to dedicate all my time. That means no hunting time.
Well,
right?
Yeah,
Like,
but along the line, like, you never hid behind your family. You just reprioritized. And you got to look at somebody like Dick Becker, who made the AFT when he was 50, I'm pretty sure, for the first time.
And that's where I'm at a little bit. It's like, I could make a shoeing team a little later in my life, closer to 40. Packing out a full bull elk with closer to 40, doable, harder.
I was 41 when I made the WCB team for the first time.
And like, I'm not trying to be like, please take this with all due respect.
No.
Guys like you and stuff, guys like even like Brian Osborne and stuff like that they're a little older, like they're getting on great teams and doing really good. It's like they give me hope into that I can kind of do other things in my life and prior to this is like, you're never going to look at a guy like Brian Osborne and be like that he's resting on and just doing fucking nothing. He's charging it, whatever his goal is in life. You know what I mean?
It's not now or later, but I tell you what, it's a lot easier to do it now if you don't have other things to schedule in.
And that's what I think is like, so for you, without a kid, is easier to push towards a team now.
100%.
Yeah. Where for me, in my situation of what I live in daily life, it's easier to push towards the hunting and stuff. And so it's like, but it's also like, that's me taking the easy route a little fucking bit. Cause then I look at a guy like Carl and it's like, did not take the easy route.
No, but
Pushed hard, but I'm not trying to say you took anything away from your kid, because you are a great fucking dad. You do family life amazingly. Like,
well, family's always first. Like that at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But it's just prioritizing, like being there at the right time to do things. So like, it's just, I don't know. I had a thought in my mind now.
But like, this is just my opinion, is that Carl is the example of like that top end. When I stop, I sleep.
Yep.
Right? Because like, I call him, I hate saying call Carl. It's hard to say, right? But anyway, I call Carl.
How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
It's like going through a Chick-fil-A.
Anyway, I'll call Carol, and I'll call him first thing in the morning. It's like, hey, what you got going on today? He's like, well, I just did 5 sets, and we're going to do 10 more sets. And then I'm going to go home, and I got 30 acres down, so we're going to go ahead and get that tedded. And then, I don't know, I got to work on
to me, like, dude, I'm looking at it like, I'm not doing shit. I got all this hay grass down. That's enough for the day, man.
Well, and after that, I don't know, I need to put some new brakes on the pickup, and I don't know, my dad said he's having problems with his pickup, so I'm probably going to go ahead and change front end out on it. And then I'm going to go home, probably spend some time with Chase, and, I think Colleen's got some calves, so yeah, I'll hang out with Chase for about an hour or two.
So I got some free time.
And he's like, and I'm going to try and make that shoe for Scotland, because,
I'll do that, yeah.
I'm going to let y'all down.
After Chase goes to bed, I'll make that Yorkshire around 11 tonight, and that's what I do. But what I want to do.
That's what I think a lot of people don't realize.
What I had a second ago that I lost is that it's family that actually makes it all work. If you don't have support from home, do you know how many times I've gone to a contest? All right, so I love it when I go to a contest and it is the worst weather possible over my farm.
Yeah.
Like I want to pour down rain and be windy and nasty when I'm out of town, because that's when things can't get done outside.
Yeah. You don't feel guilty.
I don't feel guilty. All right. But then, like, I come to this contest like this weekend. It was a hurricane. I'm like, nothing can get done at home. Like, it's perfect. All right. But like the last contest we went to, we had rain for like 2 months. And my third cutting of hay was getting like up to my armpits. It was thicker than my first cutting. And I'm just seeing dollar signs, because I see like a $50,000 crop that's just hanging out.
Oh, yeah.
All right, what do? We go to a contest, beautiful weather. I'm like, oh, I could cut this and make, like, I could have $50,000 sitting in the barn ready to sell. Right?
Literally making hay while the sun shines.
Making hay while the sun shines. And I'm like, but I'm going to this contest. So what do? The night before I left for a contest, I pack all my tools, throw it in my truck, get ready to go to the airport. I hook up 2 John Deere tractors to hay cutters, grease it, fuel it, and park it in the field ready to go, where my family, like my wife, my dad, my mom, can just get in it and drive. Like, because like my parents with their age, and just picking up the PTO shafts and getting them hooked up, and like taking the blocks off the back of the hydraulic cylinders, like raise and lower the cutters, it's an endeavor for them.
Yeah.
It's enough where they're like, nah, not today. We're going back to the house. This is not happening today. But if I have it hooked up,
they'll do it.
And the lines, because we have wonderful equipment. They're cabbed, AC, heat, radios, like command centers in the tractors.
But people don't get that shit of like,
so I'll do
you
all
got to
that.
do it through the night.
Yeah,
like,
so I'll have all that ready the night before I fly to a contest. I'll have both tractors ready to go, where you can mow 21 feet of hay at a time in a lap.
Yeah, but it probably frees you up a little bit at the contest that you're like...
Yeah, so what I do is, like, so while I fly, they mow.
Yep.
All right, and then unhooking is easier than hooking, and then my wife's really good at hooking up, like, the hay tether, and have that ready to go. And during day 2 and 3 of the contest, she runs out and will boom, boom, those 2 days. And I have it timed to where the day I fly home is baling day. So I get home from the airport, I boogie home, I hook up all the balers, and like
go through, break.
Yeah, and I go through like getting everything greased, getting the twine and everything, get the net wrap in the baler, and I'm like, all right, let's hook up trailers, let's go out and let's just rake. And then of course, in Virginia, raising hay is tough because you have such a heavy dew, with all all the humidity.
Yep.
Right. So you can't even get in the field until 11 in the morning. All right. So then you get out and you rake everything, and you go out there and you moisture test. And like, all right, now we're at 13%. Things are ready to go. We rock and roll. 5 o'clock comes around, the sun's starting to go down, and moisture's starting to come back up. You're like, so that's a Sunday for me when I come home from a contest.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
that's a lot.
Meanwhile, I got my earbud in, and I'm like texting clients like, I'm really sorry, I'll be there like tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. and I'll fix that shoe and I'll get that horse figured out. And like, but anyway, what my whole point of that
is a ton, dude.
It's family. I could not do that if I didn't have family that supports me, and like my wife.
You
is
probably
strong.
couldn't drive through it. A lot of people will be like, I'm ready for a break. I'm ready for a break. I need a break.
If you don't have home support, it's not going to happen. For especially on this team, like Stan's married. Like his wife is all for it. She's like here. She's hanging out. She's like doing all the
Key
things.
word. What time is it right now? Almost 11 o'clock at night, probably.
Yeah.
And Stan's wife's chilling with us while we're doing this podcast.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm getting. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm getting a text from my wife. Like on her evening and how it went. And how Chase is doing. And our son and it's like, we'll see you in the morning whenever you get home. We got it sorted. She's like feeding a bottle calf. She's doing a hospital plate on a horse. She's got, we got 7 calves in the backyard getting fed twice a day.
And that's even like why we're here at 11 o'clock at night is these guys had to practice a go after the contest. Day of contest, like having a contest, having to go. They came back and like squeezed in another practice while you guys are all together.
Yeah.
We had a banquet and everything. And then now we're here squeezing in one more podcast. Like it's just
one thing after another.
Well, yeah.
That's how it goes.
freaking stop.
Yeah, well, that's just life. Well, that's our life, I guess. So it's funny because, like, Carl says family, right? Choosing that wisely is good. But, so I can say personally, my wife drives me. So I can remember vividly to this day, I walked in practicing from, like, I've been in the shop for 2 hours. It was midsummer, and I'm hot, and I'm done. I shod horses all day, get in the shop around 7. It's like probably 10:30 at this time, and I come in, and I'm like, that last shoe sucked. And she looks up at me and goes, why are you in here? Go make another one. I look back down, and I walk out there, and I build another one. And guess what? This is sounding bad, but I might have done well in that class. But if I had settled for that bad one, was that bad one the last one that broke me that I never went forward from that shit?
Yeah.
So that stuck with me, like choosing who you have driving you, whether it's wife, teammates, whatever.
Yep.
Choosing who you surround yourself. So if you're in a neck of the woods like Mike, starting out shoeing horses next to Brokeback Mountain farriers, you ain't gonna go very far.
It always takes a
Says
weird
the guy from
turn
New
with you,
Zealand.
dude.
So ain't gonna go very far. So if anyone wants to get better, surround yourself with better.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
ain't gonna get anywhere.
And that might be a bit of fucking honesty. If your wife's bitching at you about being in the shop and trying to get better at your own trade, it might not be the fucking lady.
Well,
And it might not be the lady if that's what your ideas are. So it's like that might be a hard fucking reality for some people listening and be like, hey, my wife's bitching at me a lot. And it's like, well, that's not a very good deal. She might not have you in interest.
And that's
Like-
the thing, like, I'm divorced. At no point was my wife anything but supportive of me competing. We didn't divorce because I compete all the time.
Really?
Yeah. It had nothing to do with travel. It was other things that we don't talk about today. But, sorry. Some things got to stay between me. But what it was, like, but it was the same thing. Like, I'd be out practicing, or it'd be like a Saturday, and I didn't have anything to do. I wasn't traveling. I wasn't doing anything. And it'd be about 11 a.m., and she'd be like, maybe you need to go to the shop. Do you think about maybe going out there and getting to practice in?
Man, I know you guys all three have met my wife. she was a better person than me.
Yeah.
So it's
100%.
They all
Yeah, same
yeah,
here.
so
Yeah.
it's like pretty
here.
easy to accept the fact that like my tool making and like anything is a lot to do with Chelsea, of me to come inside and showing her something. She's like, "That's all you got, huh? Like that was good enough? You're gonna like she's like, you're gonna send this to that person." And so it's like, no, I'm not. It'd be like, I remember you coming to a contest like, man, I was out fucking off in the shop, kind of having fun making this. Colleen's like, don't you got a shoot to be practicing right now?
Yeah.
Why are you fucking off?
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I was going to cap on that. I like making auction items for contests,
Yeah.
you know, and so I like making shiny.
To say that
things, right?
you are the aluminum draft shoe guy.
Apparently, like I didn't know that, but like I thought that was going to like get kicked back to the curb. But being that they do so well at auctions, I'm like, well, I can't help but make another one. You know, like if it helps provide the association that sends us cool
Yeah, the
places,
train you're riding on.
yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna keep making shiny things, you know, out of copper and aluminum and whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I'll be so proud of something. I spent like 4 hours working on it. And I come in the house at night, it's midnight, and Colleen stayed up to wait, you know, for me to come in. I laid on the counter.
She's
I'm like, yeah, look at that. How cool is that? And she's like, it's racked.
Yep.
And I'm like, what? And I look at it. And I'm like, she's right. It's racked.
Yeah.
I can't take that. You know, so that now I know what I'm doing all night
Can't
tomorrow
put that
night.
in the auction.
Throw that in the trash pile, and I go back and start another one. You know, because like, she's my biggest critic.
Dude,
You know?
that's
Do you know how many times at the end of a go you get to hear, if Colleen's there, you hear, "What the fuck, Carl?"
Yeah, like you call that a heel? Yeah, no, you're right.
good.
You're right. It sucks.
It's good, man.
Like I'm like, she's more critic than any of these guys.
So
Like, man,
I want we're gonna try to streamline it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Not that it's not like this has been great, but so this weekend we're in North Carolina. We're at a team competition, so it's a 3-day event. First day is draft horses. Second day is 3/4 fuller on a pleasure day. Third day is tool and fuller day, so 5/8 square. Ran through a block and fuller through to make a section to go on these horses. Safe section with a lot of traction. You guys, as we were kind of mentioned earlier, there's multiple sub competitions happening within this competition. You guys are in the top category of the competition, right? Of this weekend. So there's like the Men of Steel, and you guys are kind of the battling top end of it. But like we kind of already talked about it before, it's like you guys are just competing against yourselves.
Yeah.
So it's, what mindset did you guys go into this weekend with and practice with, and how did that change throughout the weekend?
So, to be honest, like we're focusing on team. So we're traveling to Scotland in like 3 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So, not that this
Stan's
contest,
not the guy keeping track of numbers.
no numbers, no horseshoeing since 15. So didn't finish high school.
I'm the math nerd.
Yeah, Carl's that guy. So like
14 days.
14 days is when we're heading over there. So I'm not that we weren't focusing on this contest as a whole, but we were focusing on this contest to work smoothly, to be happy with our goals,
Real life
to be working
experience as a team.
And the best thing about this contest is being told by our peers how nice it was to watch us work as a team and be smooth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that something that's always came easy as your guys' team, or is it something you've had to work
No.
towards?
No, it's always a work in progress. And what's frustrating is when you first get a new group of guys together. Like we had Stan on board. We're like, all right, we're gonna go to our peers.
Because it was 3 of you guys have been together already,
Yes.
and then Andrew decided he was going to be a family man, stay home. And so
Priorities.
Well,
Yeah.
And he had, like, Andrew also checked a bunch of boxes
Oh,
that were goals for him.
I'm
Like,
not.
that's important to say.
Trust me. If one person in this world, like, I'm an Andrew fan.
I know you.
No priority is better than another. It's just a different priority at a different time.
It was you were stepping onto a team that already had a team environment.
Yep.
It's gathered.
And so what I was saying is that like what we do is we seek out our peers. So we all go spend a weekend at Craig's, and he's like, "All right, I got it all figured out. You're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do this." And then we work on that. We're like, okay, this is going good. And then we seek out another peer. We go to Tom's. And he's like, no, that sucks. Don't do any of that. Do this and this and this and this. We're like, oh.
And is he
Now we got
changing?
a whole nother-
Is he change? Not as much probably as changing of what you're doing. Is he changing how
It's what, how, and
the
when,
order
and who.
everything?
Everything.
Okay.
And so we focus on that. We're like, I don't know if that's working or not working. But then we as a team has to.
But when
have
they
to
tell you
focus.
this, do you fall into it? You're gonna try it.
Well, of course. Or else that's like,
You're wasting your time and energy if you don't at least give it a go.
and it's an insult to your peer.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like yes sir, we're going to try that.
Yep.
And you do it, and then we go home, we recruit, and we're like, that actually worked pretty good. We're gonna keep doing that. And then you find the next peer and you work on that, and it's like, well, let's take everything we did at this place, but we're going to add this, and we did, and it took a couple practices, and we finally got everything sorted out to where we can work as a smooth oiled machine through a practice. We found Dylan's strong suit, Stan's strong suit, Mike's strong suit, and mine, and we're like, okay, you were all strong in these places, and this is where we need to be to make this go flawlessly. And it was really cool this weekend to see everybody watch us,
Yeah.
and they all say the same thing. Like, it was a pleasure to watch you work.
Smooth.
Smooth
It
as
was.
glass.
It was. You guys are very smooth. And so, like, if you don't want, a team environment's a very personal deal. You're gonna say some shit to each other that you don't want to say to other people because it is an environment that's like, I'm gonna cut you down right now, and not even cut you down, but I'm gonna say some things that might not be accepted by other people, and they might take it too seriously. So how did you guys kind of figure it out and grab from everybody else and put a go together and a schedule together where it worked out for you guys? Like what strong points did you decide, like, man, this strong point fits this point in the go, and this like fits this point in the go?
All right, so I'm going to take this because when Stan came on, it was a big effect on me. Because when Andrew was on, I was the anchor.
Okay,
Like,
so
I
you,
was last
as an
on.
anchor, you were the last.
I was the last guy on, and I had to go fast. I had to utilize whatever time I had, and I also had to be the big guy. And by big guy, I mean tool and fuller day, I'm knocking in every section.
Yeah.
Like,
Endurance.
yeah, like being able to do all that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also the old guy. Like, it's hard to be the old guy and the big guy. Stan took away the
Yeah.
big guy thing and the fast guy thing.
Dude's a brute.
Yeah. Well,
And
You want to watch 2 inches get bumped into a toe.
but it moved me into a position where I'm actually just supporting Stan's anchor.
So Stan's the anchor right now.
Yeah, Stan goes on last. I go on right before him. But we've done 2 contests together, and at least one class, and we've done more than one. At least one class, like when I get my shoe judged, Stan looks over at me, and we figure out how much time we both get. So that if I've got to put the gas on and get, like we were in Pennsylvania, I turned in at 13 minutes. Or they handed back to me.
So your shoe's
13
done,
minutes.
turned in, and you got to put the gas on just during your nail and finish.
Yeah, so we got 13 minutes, and they hand me my shoe, and Stan goes, "We got 13, I'll split it with you." So 6.5 minutes apiece. And I got nailed and clinched in 5.
And so
then-
was your shoe already judged too, Stan?
No.
His
So-
shoe wasn't finished.
No, I nailed on and finished with 4 minutes left.
So you guys split the 13.
Split the 13. So he had to give me as much time as I had to go. So no matter how good a run goes or bad a run goes, you still got to get done. So
Yeah, no one's getting scored.
something went wrong somewhere, and it was our first contest together. So, and that's fine. But as my responsibility is to get done. And Mike knows how it is to be ramrodded at the end spot, so he's courteous to me. But we still work out. We got 13 minutes left to go. My shoe's not judged. I got to do a final burn. Got to brush it. Got to get it cleaned up. But knowing that I'm going to be able probably at 4 minutes to nail up, which I was. Mike was out of my way. I had 4 minutes nailed up.
The whole horse is for you.
Clinched 6 nails, rolled on, was done.
Well, and it's that whole thing of like, while I'm nailing up in that, I get the foot between my knees at 12:59. And the whole time I'm nailing, I'm not looking at I'm paying attention to what I'm doing, but I'm trying to keep one ear that's just listening for Stan to say hot. Because that means he's going to be there, and I've got to drop no matter what. So I hustle my first 2 nails in.
And it's funny because everyone right now is going to say, oh, well, he was just a sacrifice. He just got nailed up. He just got done. But the funny thing was that it might have been the highest score on that job. So just because you're the last man getting screwed doesn't mean it has to be the
lowest score.
Lowest score.
No. That go. Stan was the high score on that day.
So that
for our team.
That it doesn't necessarily mean anything. But being able to, if I wanted to count on Mike to be that person and not drop the ball, then he was that guy in the last team.
And so it is kind of like you almost want to throw the responsibility on the last guy to get caught up, but it ain't on him, really, is it?
No, it's on everybody. So that's why it's a team, right? It's because Carl goes on first. Carl has to smoke.
So how did you guys decide that order?
Practice.
Yeah.
Honestly, we didn't know anybody's strong suits until we see it in person.
And so, talking to Andrew, you guys practice a bunch of horses each practice.
Yes, sir.
Because you have a pretty good disposal of horses.
I do, yes.
At your horse, so you guys got a pretty good situation, right? And
it's like with the family farm I was talking about. Levi was here a minute ago, but he came to visit for 4 days, and he's working on a certification. It's like, you want to do a horse? Yeah. I go grab one, pull it in, tie it to the shop. In the shop, we're in our own space. Does the thing. Anyway, so it practices it the same way. It's like, you done yet? No. Grab another one. You done yet? No. Grab another one. And so what we do is we figure out everybody's strong suit.
Yep.
We figure out Mike's strong suit on seeing certain things, and Stan's strong suit on seeing and doing certain things. Whatever it is. And then we're like, oh man, you'd be a really good guy to be in this. In position 4.
So you guys are trying to probably focus a lot on the positive of each other's attributes.
And negatives.
But how do you serve the negatives up to each other?
Brutally honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we joked this morning.
It's my favorite part about you, Stan.
No, this morning we knocked out some shoes. Or first thing in the morning, we did the go that we were gonna have today. And me and Stan go last. I get my shoe out, everything's clipped up, and I hang it in the vise and spend way too much time on a practice shoe, rasping. And Stan starts giving me shit about it. And he's hey, you gonna show me up what you're rasping a practice shoe? And I was like, fuck, I hate rasping. I'm not good at rasping. I should have all of your shoes stacked up in front of me that I got to rasp everybody practice. Because I suck at it. I suck at it because I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't even do it on
I'm
a
right
daily
there
basis.
with you, dude. I fucking hate it.
Because at what point is it actually has to do with the well-being of the horse?
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, sanding down to, Trizac on a shoe.
Yeah, because then at the end it's just an art project.
Yeah.
It's not a shoeing job.
Yeah.
But
no, I agree.
It matters.
No, it does matter because those little things that are taking it to the next level. I don't think any job that was under the tent this weekend is under basics really. You know what I mean? It's all about trying to push the trade.
Yeah, no.
And you guys are at the top of that dozer pushing the trade on forward. So it doesn't matter too much, but it matters a little bit. But it's still Stan's flying through obviously and getting on the last, but it's still scoring really great because you have the bones in it.
Basics, and that comes down to horseshoeing school and apprenticeship. That gave me fundamentals and those fundamentals haven't left. I've buffed them up and sharpened them up, but
Yeah.
fundamentals are fundamentals, and you never lose those. So, like, a lot of people like to say, like, so if Andrew, he stepped off, right? If he come back on today, I bet you he'll come back just as good as he left.
Yeah.
But has the bar been rose now? I don't know. So that's the hard thing there.
It's always rising.
So then, but if you have only got to a certain level, like Carl, he only got to the journeyman. He thought he was done.
Yep.
Golden, well, amazing. That's really just what should be who can shoe a horse in America. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't do that, then man. So then it's like,
A journeyman's only a stepping stone in life.
Oh,
That was the
it's a
first.
driver's license test.
yeah, it
is
really
a
is.
driver's license test. It's like, oh, congratulations, you're not a window licking retard. You know,
Well, and
on
there's
with life you go.
like this constant thing where people go, well, I know a lot of journeymen who do terrible work. And it's like, yeah, now they got done with, like, the best job they ever did was their journeyman exam.
Yeah.
That was their peak.
They passed their driver's license. They're a citizen.
But then we also got guys that are amazing that don't take their journeyman because they got a bad taste in their mouth because of that guy who had one good day and passed.
Yeah, I do get that. I understand it, but I don't understand it letting you hold you back.
Yeah, well, but that's kind of what I'm getting at is, like, we talk about a standard, like, it should be the basic standard in this country. And I have no problem with that. And I think the detractors aren't looking at it from the perspective of it is where you start. It's not where you finish.
Oh, that's for damn sure. So if, like, this weekend your guys' goal was to come together and get a good team practice, like, it was almost a practice, right? Of, like, you guys wanted to work very fluid as a team. Obviously, you guys wanted to do great. Do you guys think you succeeded in the weekend as your goal
100%.
coming into it?
100%, because we can only judge ourselves against ourselves.
Yeah.
All right. So every go we did this weekend was a good demonstration of our practices. And our draft go, our 3/4 fuller go, and our tool and fuller go, we all high-fived, hugged, and shook each other's hands in celebration, regardless of how the results came out, because that was better than what we practiced leading up to the event.
That's huge.
Especially when
So-
you do a celebo for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a little.
You
hitch
guys
in the
did.
video.
You guys did that horse looks really well. Like, it was a salad bowl with crispness. That doesn't happen a lot. Like, that's not out there in the world.
So that was the thing is, like, yeah, we drew a really bad-footed horse up front. He didn't have great feet behind either, but his front feet, we were given a task.
Your guys' horse was like the perfect example. Everyone's like, oh, competition horseshoeing isn't real horseshoeing.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Look at that horse you guys did.
Yeah.
That horse could not have been shod better by anybody. Like, I guarantee it would have been shod worse by a guy in everyday work because he would have just wanted to get it out of there. Where you guys did it to an execution at such a detail.
Yeah. And then natural balance and set back and see you later.
Exactly.
There's my paycheck.
And I almost guarantee that's why those guys do it. I'm not sure. It's like the first time you burn a shoe back to the quarter clips and you're like, well, that was fucking easy. God damn, I just went till the quarter clip stopped me and I just got to drive my nails.
And you just got to wrap the heels in. Call it a
Pretty
day.
goddamn easy. But what you guys did on that horse, not easy.
Well, so that, like, we got into it, and Stan and I are talking, we're figuring out what we're cutting, and we're, like, coming up with a game plan so that we can do something that looks the same, because that's part of the job. And we realized we're going to need time.
Yeah.
So our hind guys, like, ate a big plate of shit and took a hit to give us more time. And when I say took a hit, I don't mean, like, they dropped their standard. I mean, like, they took a time hit.
We turned our hat around backwards and was like, hold my beer, watch this.
Well, yeah, and I bet
we're
there's
gonna-
like a little bit of a checklist in your head that you're like, okay, this was a little extra. This is a little extra.
Well,
I'm going to
it
do
was
this and this
Just dropping a
faster.
7-heat shoe to a 5-heat shoe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Giving yourself 5 extra minutes. 5 extra minutes a person.
Yeah.
That's
2
big.
extra heats that we get. That's
Yeah,
2 extra fitting
We
heats.
abandoned our system to gain the projects more time. You know, the front end of that horse was a project.
But that takes knowing your system.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and it also takes faith in your teammates, and that's a big thing that we work on is having
Huge.
faith in each other.
Huge.
Is like, I know that if I need a striker and everybody's at the horse, and it happened during that go, I think, or that no, it was during the draft go. I needed a striker, and like Stan was like is normally right around me, but he's over helping Carl and Dylan fit up on the hinds, and that's normal.
Yeah.
And all I did was holler. I don't even know if I said striker or batter or like, but I just some word that meant, hey, somebody come help me. And Carl puts his shoe on the ground and runs over, hits something with a sledge like 3 times, then walks off.
Huh.
And goes back to what he was doing because he didn't have a foot in the air.
One of the best times, funnier times I've had in my life was at Madison, Wisconsin. I got really sick, and Carl was my striker. And I was throwing up the whole entire live shoeing. Carl would just tap on my shoulder. Hey, your shoe's hot. You might want to get back in here.
Hey, so let's get back to the
He
task
just
at
kind of
hand.
he's like, are you okay with me being kind of rushy to you? I'm like, yeah, that would probably be good right now.
But we were in Sheridan.
But his big is like he's a selfish guy. Like he's like okay ditching his project, help with the team project.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and that's it. Is like a lot of that's built on like history and trust. Because like I had the same. If it'll make you feel better, Carl broke a bunch of ribs on a vice.
Oh, I
You were
remember.
there. You were in Sheridan.
Yeah, because I asked Carl to strike for me. He's like, man, I would, but I just can barely breathe right now.
Yeah. And in the live show,
I'm trying to live.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I'm feeding him heats on a specimen, and it's like literally dripping. It's not like I'm giving him the hottest heat I can get without completely burning it, and it's got a couple sparkles coming off of it. And he's like, "Where the fuck's all my steel going?" I just like, without a beat, it was like, "You can't fucking hit it unless I get it that hard."
Yeah. I was like, yes, sir, you're
Like,
right.
I did everything short of working him like a puppet. 'Cause he could, like I dressed him in the hotel room.
Yeah. I couldn't even get my own shirt
I
on.
remember. 'Cause I think you struck for
I
me.
struck for
during
you.
shit. I was like, Carl, you going to strike? You'd be like, yeah, I can maybe do that. Just like,
One arm.
oh.
That was funny.
No,
Yeah,
that's
it
good.
happens. It happens. You just
I think if anyone wanted to progress in the horse industry, would be get on a team.
I think it's huge. I
Even if
agree
it's
with
a beer
that.
league
Yeah.
team. Like that's how we came together. Was we had a fun team, and we needed a corner. And Carl did a banging job, like right next to me. And I was like, "Hey, we got a hole."
yeah, my
And-
first year of doing WCB.
No,
Second year doing WCB.
Because yeah, it was like we needed somebody. Somebody dropped off the team, and I was like, "Hey, why don't we call Carl?" And called him and was like,
Crazy,
"Hey,
crazy Carl.
Crazy Carl, I started
Crazy
a job,
Carl.
and we've got a classic team together, and we need somebody for it." And like, I barely got the word "it" out in that sentence. He was like, "Yeah, I'll do it."
I've been waiting for this day.
And I was like,
It happened.
I was like, well, I mean, I might like just where the team is. I might need you to do a hind foot and like have to make caulks and wedges and shit like that.
I'll learn it.
Yeah, like
I'll do it.
He was just like snapping out, and then he was like, "So who's on this team?" Like I hadn't even
doesn't
listed who
even
was
matter.
on it. He was just like, "Yeah, I'm doing it." And what that year at Classic, Craig hits him up and is like, "Hey, you want to do the 2-man at convention?"
Yep.
And he
I
comes
remember
over
that.
and he was like, "Should I do the 2-man at convention with Craig?" And I was like, "You told him yes, right?"
Yeah. If
he
you
was
did
like-
it, you better call back.
He was like, "Yeah, I mean, I told him, yeah, sure, but is that a good idea?" And I was like, "It's the best idea you've ever had in your life."
Huge.
Yeah, that was amazing learning experience, and I will never forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of that. The classic with the Buddy Aprons team.
Buddy
Russ and
Aprons
Travis
team.
and
That's
Mike.
what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. And then doing the convention with Craig, it all just led to my success with the WCB, going to every event.
Well,
And
it's cool.
listening to Roy.
It's cool for me because, like, yeah, when Carl started, he wasn't at my level. And when we started doing those teams together, he was not at my level.
We got a
And
guy
then-
out here with a really cold-blooded truck.
Yep.
Is that the camper that has to drive from here to like New Mexico? That running out here?
No
That-
shit, that's Mike Stone's
I'm pretty
truck.
sure
Yeah,
that's what's
Well,
running
it'll be
out here.
warm as fuck by the time it gets there.
Because that's what I think is running out there.
That poor old girl.
Sorry to break your shield there.
But yeah, no, like the coolest thing for me was watching Carl catch up and then pass me. You know, I mean, he was
huge.
National champion, what, 2019 that was?
2019, yeah.
And like, I made the team with him that year, but it was such a big deal for me. It was like, holy shit, Crazy Carl's national champion. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, now I've done the team for 4 years now. And talk about practicing, like Stan said, 2 weeks before a contest, you want to be out there every night, right? But I know that with my obligations at home and having a kid has changed things a lot. Like that's definitely
Huge.
Like altered my direction of competing. I know we're
bet.
getting back to the whole team deal, but I just know now that when I go to a contest like Madison, it's like, okay, I made 3 of these and 4 of these and 3 of these and 4 of these. I just know that, like, okay, I'm going to wind up in this spot because I'm now experienced enough to go from 2015 to current time at every event. I know how many shoes it takes and how I choreograph every one of those goes, how I'm going to place. Because in 2019, when I won national champion, I had stacks of shoes. I had everything choreographed.
You knew.
And I knew. I was like, I want to, like try
These
to.
are all perfect.
I'm going
Yeah.
ready to go. But when I go and I'm not choreographed, I'm like, I want to place it probably in the top 5. Like I'll probably be 4th or 5th with what I'm providing here and how they compare to the specimen and what I can do in that time. I know how I'm going to place before I even go.
That's huge.
So
huge.
I'm prepared to know that, and so that when I'm watching them on the table and I see where they land, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly where I thought they would be because I didn't come prepared.
That is such a freaking insight.
So anybody listening, it's like, okay, well, if you can choreograph your go and you're looking at the specimen list, you know the measurements, you know what they look like, you know the flow,
Yeah.
you know where everything is. It's like, well, okay, but you just be your own judge of yourself, and you're looking at what you make at home and compare yourself to that and the time giving to make it. You already know how you're going to place.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's a shock, you're lying to yourself somewhere along the way.
No, it just goes back to like what Stan said to me a long time ago. Like you cannot expect to do better than what you practice for.
Yeah, and then like our team go to this weekend. Like what was really cool, like what we just said a minute ago, is that we practiced these same goes before this weekend, and we always pull apart each other's corner on who failed in fit and length and measurement and what all our things. And it was really cool that we came this weekend and we did better than we practiced, and that's all we can ask for. And anybody who beats us, I'm the first one to tip my beer, tip my hat, and shake their hand and congratulate them because they came more prepared than we did.
Yeah, that's
And
huge.
that happened.
It was kind of great tonight because we were sitting next to Men of Steel when placings were announced, so we could shake their hand and congratulate them as soon as we found out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because by all means, they came more prepared than we did. And that was
brought a
awesome.
Good game.
So
Good on them.
it's funny because you say like, I'll generally make between 10 and 20 shoes for individual contests, right? And that's normally what it takes to do well with me. I'll make 5, then I'll go downhill. I'll make 10, and I'll start coming back up. And that's what I know it is what it is for me. And I don't know if anyone on this podcast cares about competing, whatever. But if you do, then good.
If they don't care about probably getting better, they probably aren't going to listen very much.
They've checked off before here.
They're already caught.
You can make a bucket of shit and go to the contest and make the same shit. But until somebody else or yourself is honest with you that certain items in your shoes suck, if you can't see that, you need to ask somebody.
Yeah.
And there's not a person out there that probably would say, nah, don't send me a shoe. I don't want to see that. I don't want to help you. Like, I mean, pick somebody out, bug them. Be like,
Oh, yeah, no, you pick the certain people. It's like, dude, we did that earlier today. I showed you a tool and forward shoe I made in practice. And you're like, well, it's still kind of, it's like, no, I didn't fucking ask you because I wanted you to give me a pat on the back. I wanted you to rip this thing apart. It's like, you're already doing it yourself of like, oh, well, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. This is pretty good. And it's like, no, okay, now it's time to hands it off and like get ripped down about the damn thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and like, So Bob Marshall said that practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes
Yep.
perfect.
Yep.
And there's a there's a meaning to that I think people don't get. And it's Bob Linton saying you have to make perfect shoes in your practice. He's saying that perfect practice, that's tearing apart your work. That's
How you
making
practice.
More of it, how you practice. Are you going out in the shop and drinking beer for 3 hours
Yes.
and knocking around shoes?
Are you being efficient?
Yeah. You know, are you making a shoe, you get to the mistake and you quit? If you get to the mistake and you quit, I got you beat.
That's man. I remember watching like very early in my competing, watching Madrid make shoes when I went to his house, and he just had the quarter in the slightly wrong place. He made 3 more shoes to make sure he put that quarter in the very exact place every single shoe.
But he didn't quit on that
He
one.
never
thing.
quit.
So-
No, that wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough to be like, well, I just have to move this quarter here. It's like, well, now I'm gonna prove it. Now I'm gonna make that solid in my practice.
Yeah.
And if you're listening and don't like, Chris is amazing and he's an animal. He's a fierce competitor. Like,
Yeah.
He puts passion in it. That's the only way to say it. And that's a hard bar to hold up to because he put a quarter in the wrong place and remade the shoe. If you make a caulking and it looks like dog shit, like you made a right caulking and put it on a left shoe or something like that, it's not saying you need to keep going until you make one perfectly. It's saying that you don't stop working on that thing.
Yeah.
You know, like that whole thing way earlier we were talking about, like if you suck, you're good at roadsters but you're terrible at bevels. I had a roadster class. We had to make a pair of roadsters for Tim McPhee 1,000 years ago, and I was 53rd in that class.
That's pretty low.
It was bad.
That's not a good day.
It's not a highlight.
That was the closest.
Somebody's been on his.
That was the closest I ever came to not making a live shoeing. I made the shoeing in 37th. Because I was able to rally the next day. We had 2 shoes that I was pretty up on. The individual shoes were a little bit more my speed. I went home and made roadsters until my head hurt.
Yeah.
I made lefts and rights. I made...
And a bucket full of caulks.
Yeah, and would just make caulks.
Yep.
And would just make wedges. Would burn up a whole stick of steel just making wedges. You know how mind-numbing it is when all you're doing
Oh,
today
not many
is
people can get
making
through
wedges?
But you never forgot about that.
Oh, God, no.
It's imprinted.
Yep. Yeah, it's in your bank.
Yeah, 1,000%. And because of that, if a roadster shows up in a contest, I'm like, cool. On this team, I make bevels.
So, back to 17-year-old me, sitting in shoeing school, 12 weeks in, I was maybe 3 weeks in. I just learned how to pull a bulb punch toe clip. I watched Sam Gooding do a toe clip demonstration for his class, and because I was the only one in my class, I could do whatever. I could watch whatever. I was just floating. It was great. So he comes in, or I come in, I watch him do a hammer-drawn toe clip. And he looks up and he said, anyone think they could do that? I put my hand up. I think I can.
That looked pretty damn simple.
Doesn't mean I just think I can.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do it right now, but I think I can. But he took it and he's like, all right, let's go do it. 30 clips in 30 minutes. That's a clip a minute.
Yeah.
I knew how to pull a bulb punch toe clip. That's at least a 2-minute shoe. Now he put a penalty on me. And this will come in relevance here in a second. He put a penalty on me. He said 2 clips per every clip not pulled in the 30 minutes. No, it was 60 clips in 60 minutes. It was a whole hour of pulling clips. It was a lot. So,
a Sam thing to do.
2 clips if you didn't pull the clip. Or 1 clip if it wasn't like his. I pulled 37 clips in 60 minutes. So I had a bunch of clips that I had to pull after the fact for homework. And then I don't even think any pass. I think maybe he let 1 slide clip that he said was sufficient. And I
Close.
was like, shit. So it totaled up to like, I don't even know if it was 2 clips. It was a lot. So the thing was like 750 clips I had to pull that semester.
Dude, that is so many.
So
lot.
I had stacks of 10 piled at the back of the shop. Because I was the only one in the shop. It's a big shop. If you've never been to Kentucky Horseshoeing,
Yeah.
it's a big shop. I had every single bench piled up 10 high stacked. I don't even think I pulled 750 clips that semester. But I guarantee you I got better from it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt.
So, Edward Martin, this is a story I heard like third hand or second hand. Edward Martin, when he was a little boy, his job was to clip draft shoes.
Yep.
And he'd pick up a draft shoe with no clip on it off a spindle, put it in the fire, and he didn't just do one at a time, I'm sure.
Nope. They had him a stack in a fire of 12.
Yeah.
And from the highest point working into the fire.
Yep.
Yep.
And he would draw the clip, and if it wasn't good, his grandfather would thrash him with a belt.
Yep.
Can you imagine living in that world?
I remember Edward Martin's story that Alice Johnson put out a great video of Edward Martin clinics pieced together and stuff. And it's, if you ever want to feel like you don't know how to forge weld, just go ahead and watch Edward Martin forge weld. He does everything on the horn. It never hits the handle face. He does everything in one heat, completely forge welded together. And he talks about these stories of they had to replace harrow teeth in old, horse harrows, so they were drawn, and so they'd wear out. And he said that we had to cut the old one off and weld the new one on and sharpen it one heat. And he's saying that he was doing that throughout a day. And his grandfather came into the shop, and he's this is a mighty boring job. And his grandfather told him, like, that is speaking to your intelligence, that you let this be a boring job. An intelligent man would not let this be a boring job. He would beat himself in the clock every single time, and he would just keep pushing forward. And it's like, even through that video, it hit me a little bit. It's like, we do let ourselves, of like, when a lot of people gave that, like, you didn't let that hit you as an impossible task or a boring task. You hit it as a challenge, and you made it interesting to try to beat it. Yep.
Like team competitions is a challenge against ourselves.
Huge. And so I think that was great that you guys said that this was a contest within your own team. If you guys wanted to put this team contest together.
Well,
Well,
and it comes back to you guys. So you say that we're in a league of our own, Man of Steel and WCB, whatever. But it's not even that. No, I don't even think it's a competition between us two. Like
No,
you're
yeah,
competing
I agree.
against yourself.
We
like
are,
everyone's
100%,
competing. And
100%.
you might be super mad. You might go to your first contest and be like, that son of a bitch doesn't know what he's fucking talking about. And I'm not going to another one.
Yep.
But every judge is different.
Yep.
You might have the same style as one judge and not the other. But
It's
guess what?
easy to blame the judge.
You might be able to learn something from said judge that you don't forge like or
Yep.
don't think his opinion is valid.
It's all about finding the middle of the road almost.
And it's perspective.
Yeah.
It's how you look at it.
Yeah.
It is. Majorly.
Yeah.
Majorly.
And it's knowing when you play the game long enough, you start figuring out, I wonder how they'll look at it. Because we got to sell this thing to look good for how they look at it.
You do. You do. And that is one of the biggest things I think of competitive farriers when they get to a point. They don't have a style they're locked into too much. They can.
It's adaptation.
Yeah, adapt one way or the other. You'd be a
Yep.
chameleon.
Variables.
You know, it's like, ooh, these judges are from this part of the country.
Yep.
So we better shoe like this, boys, or these judges are from this part of the country. This
one of
is
the
kind
biggest
feet
things.
They see, we need
And
to
it's
shoot
even
like
been on the
this.
same team with Mike. He's like, man, I got to forge like you. And I'm like, I got to forge like you. Now we got to pull the same clips.
Yeah.
That's
No,
something that's
it is
been
like
good.
we talked about it, like we did a little podcast with just our P&W team, and it's like that we talked about. It's like you hear older guys say, I forget who said it. It's like if you want a horse shod well, you let 10 different guys shoe it throughout the year. Well, that's kind of what you're doing in a horseshoe in a team competition. Is you're all kind of pushing this horse to the middle ground of all your opinions, and it gets to be a pretty well shod horse.
Well, we did a fun deal a couple weeks ago because only 3 of us were able to get together, and like instead of like, hey, I'm gonna do my foot and you do your foot. It was like we had 3 feet to do, so I trimmed Carl's foot, Stan trimmed my foot, Carl trimmed Stan's foot.
Yep.
And then we had to fit
a good
each
idea.
other's feet.
That is a
We had
good
to fit each
idea.
other's trims.
Yep.
And
You get out of your habits real quick when you got a different shape.
That is a very good idea.
We do that. Well, we should do it more often, but I've done it in years
it's not
past.
the first time.
That is a very, very good
And
idea.
it does, because not only are you learning how your homie trims, but your homie is also trying to trim for you to fit, because you're not doing it.
And you're learning why his fit might be the way it is.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
it was
a really good exercise.
That is good.
You really
stuff.
it gets you out of your like trimming the fit habits, because we're also not allowed to touch it after
Yeah.
our teammates have trimmed it.
No, I think that is a freaking gold mine right there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and if you do touch it after your teammates have trimmed it, oh, the shit that rains down on your head.
Well, then you're buying dinner is what you're doing.
Yeah, like
and
It's
around
a-
a beer or two.
it's
You don't
a lot
want
of
to. You don't
beer.
want to be that guy.
no.
But like also like Carl, like you talk about strengths. Like I am the big guy, whatever. So I can bump an inch
Whatever.
I can bump
What?
the inch
Really?
into the fucking toe and turn the drive steel, whatever. But like Carl's the fitter. Kyle 99% of the time will walk to that job and the foot and go,
What's going
"All
on?"
right, there we go. And we go, okay. So that means he's off the anvil.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's
Boom,
why I'm in
done.
the first hole.
Yep.
It's because it's like I get my shoe made. See y'all later.
Out of the way.
Because
Not dropping you any points or anything. You're done.
I'm fit. I just gotta
Done
go
and
to
out of the
rest.
way.
You know, and then but Stan, you know, like being the strong guy, if things go bad in my go, and in the second place go, and third place go, and we only have 16 minutes to get a shoe completely built,
He's gonna get it made.
he's the guy.
And it'll
do
still
that.
score well.
I believe
because
He can do it well.
He can knock a
fast.
toe in, turn a toe, and half Fuller's branch is
Yep.
freezing cold
Right.
without a striker.
Oh, it's huge, and so that's pretty cool that you guys have recognized and pushed towards all your guys' strengths
Yeah.
to make it one good go. Well, man, I've got you guys on for already over 2 hours.
Holy shit.
I don't want to suck you guys out too much. It goes pretty quickly.
So we ready to start the second 2 hours, or where we at?
Yeah,
Is this
we're gonna have to
intermission?
pick you guys up again. It's
Jolene's
like,
got a comfortable place to sleep. We can go all
and
night.
so I'm glad you guys got to share of like who you guys are, of like what it took you guys to be on this team and what it takes you guys to work together as a team. It'd be interesting to hear from you guys again after going over to Scotland
I would love to.
Love to
and
do it.
see what you guys think after that.
And maybe
you know,
we can answer the question.
all right.
We love you, but
Yeah, no shit, man. But
All right. Thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us, and thank you to Carl, Stan, and Mike.